I'm live. What's up, everybody? Or nobody? It's all good. I decided to do a random live stream today because I got some good stuff to talk about. And I know I'm getting some comments on the other videos. Where did you go? Why aren't you putting videos up anymore? So I don't know how I know that YouTube treats a live stream differently than a regular video. So I don't know why people are not seeing a notification or whatever but I guess I'll have to put up a regular video to tell people to check the live streams for new content, because I'm going to the format where I would just sit in front of the camera and talk for a little while and then put it in some rotation and put it up without doing any editing, where I'm just talking about random things. I'm going to do that live instead of doing it on a video where it's much less work to do it live, to be honest. I just push a couple buttons, boom, it's up. If anything, I'll have to download the videos for backup purposes, because right now they're all just sitting on YouTube's server. And if they disappear, they're gone forever. At least I'll have to try to remember to go back and download all of these video files from their server. But it's super easy for me to just hit a couple buttons and boom, I'm live, talk, and then poof, I'm out. Hey, Blue Sky, what's up? Mike Stevens in the house. Good to see you all. And so I'm in a pretty good mood today. Thanks to somebody's random suggestion while we were chatting on the live stream 2 days ago, I'm a driver now. Rooms in Discord coming soon. You know what? I'll work on that in the next day or so. Today I'm pretty tapped out. So Sunday I was all bitching and moaning that the state of Texas was making it difficult to get my paperwork done for the car I just bought. And we were kind of chatting. I think somebody suggested it, or the light bulb went off in my head based on something somebody said. And I discovered that you don't have to go to the tax office in the county where you live to get your paperwork done for a private car sale. So my original plan was to just get an appointment for Tuesday, ride my bicycle there, and get it done, and just suck it up, buttercup, and ride my bicycle to the bakery yesterday. But after I got done with the live stream, I did a little more homework, and I found out that the tax office that's pretty close to the bakery had an appointment available for 2:00 in the afternoon yesterday. Done. Grabbed it. And so in Texas, you can print out a 5-day driver's permit for a car without license plates. And you can use that. Technically, I think you're only allowed to go to an inspection station and or to the tax office to get your plates. And you have 5 days from the day you print that out. So I downloaded that file. I signed up for that. I downloaded it. I got my insurance first, signed up for an insurance policy, got the card downloaded as a PDF. Then I went and did the driver's permit, downloaded that as a PDF. And then I had a PDF sitting there of my address change for my driver's license. And I had a few other PDF files, bank statements and stuff like that for proof of address. Insurance was like, I got full coverage on the car, and the insurance is like $1,000 for 6 months. It's crazy. That sounds about right. So what I'm going to do is wait about a month, and I'm just going to go banging around trying to get different quotes, because I used to be able to get full coverage for 3 vehicles for like $900 a year. But I'm reading some stuff that the insurance companies gouge people that live in Texas for some reason, and Texas pays twice as much as everybody else. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to shop around. That's all you can do. I only had to pay $120 to get my policy started. So I'm like, whatevs. Okay, fine. That gives me time, because if I get a new policy at the end of the, like, if I can get a new policy before this one's next payment is due, then I can just cancel the policy and get a better, I'll just mess around. Being a driver that hasn't had a car insured for the last 3 years, that's part of the reason why they're gouging me so bad. They do that. If you go more than 30 days without having car insurance, they'll treat you like you're a scrub who's never driven a car before. And they'll jack up your rate double what you'd normally pay. Didn't matter that I was with Progressive. I just signed up with Progressive because it was 5 minutes, all online. I didn't have to talk to a human being. Got my insurance card done. It was fast. The other quotes that I got from other companies were all the same price. There were no variations at all. So I got full coverage. I don't even know what they'd pay out if I crashed the car. I just figured play it safe for the short term, and then we'll see. I am going to make a call and ask them what I would get paid out for this car, ballpark figure, if it was totaled in an accident, and if it's not, like, it might not be worth it to have full coverage. But for now, I'm just playing it somewhat safe. I did not get the underinsured, because that was another that would have made my policy even more expensive. But I figure underinsured, I mean, come on. Somebody would have to hit me with no insurance at all to pay for that vehicle. But it has happened. I could tell a story about my past where a drunk driver with no insurance rear-ended me and I was out. And I bluffed my way to getting the guy to pay me for the damage to my car. He showed up to my house with a cashier's check to pay for the damage to my car, but there legally was nothing I could do about it. I just told him I was going to take legal action, knowing lawyers had told me there's nothing you can do. But I was like, well, I'll do something, and I ended up getting paid by the guy directly. But that was a long time ago. And so, I don't know, the things I learned going through this process, buying from a private seller, you can go to any tax office in the state of Texas. So Montgomery County is the neighboring county where I work. And like I said, they have plenty of, you still had to make an appointment, and it was a pretty busy place. I got there half an hour before my appointment, and they called my number right away. I was out of there sooner than my appointment was even scheduled for. So it was fast, 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, they told me I had to walk out and get the registration sticker off of my car. So if I had rode my bicycle like my original plan to the tax office, I would have had to turn around and go home empty-handed, because I wouldn't have the sticker from the car. They have to keep it. You have to give it to them. License plates they didn't care about. And I told her, I said, I drove here without plates, and she goes, really? And I said, well, I printed out one of those 5-day permit things. And she goes, really? They gave you one of those? She said that they almost never give them to people. Like, you go to this website. She's like, I can't believe they even let you print that thing out. And I'm like, really? I didn't have any problem with it. But I'm driving to work half an hour. I took the busiest roads with the most traffic on purpose to blend in with traffic and just hope that a cop didn't show up behind me to tail me looking at my cop magnet with no license plate on the back. And I didn't see a single officer. I didn't see a single cop all the way in. So I got little signs and wonders along the way that told me I was going to be fine. Like somebody in a black Volkswagen passed me and got in front of me and had a big Pittsburgh Steelers thing on the back of their car. And I was like, all right, go Steelers. And there were just other little signs all day long that I was going to be fine. Went to the tax office. What else was involved with that? It was quick and easy. I'm kind of surprised that they even make you get appointments there, but the parking lot was full. I had to wait for somebody to back out of a parking space to get a parking space. So I guess, but I could have gone to some hillbilly podunk county 2 counties away and got it done. It didn't matter what county you go to. And one other positive thing I can say about the experience is they don't let you do this in Pennsylvania anymore. They're pretty strict about this stuff. But the tax office said, what did you pay for the car? I was like $1,000. So they charged me the sales tax on $1,000. No, they didn't care. And so my total bill was $130 for the sales tax and all the fees for the registration and plates. That I was like, yo. Now at the dealership that I was trying to haggle with that wouldn't haggle me, the vehicle price was $4,500, $4,495 to be exact. And the dealership out the door, taxes and fees and everything else, it was going to be $5,200. So $700 in extra fees and taxes and dealer paperwork and all that bullshit. And so I got the car for $3,800 that I just bought, and I'm still less than $4,000 with the taxes and fees. So now that I'm educated and I know what I'm doing, I'm definitely not afraid to buy a private sale vehicle next time around if that's what happens. I'm not totally against going to a dealership, but I think that the car I got is in better shape than what I would have got at a dealership, especially for that price. There's no way I was getting a car that good for that price. I'm still less than $4,000 into it. And now I've got the plates and everything's done. So no, I wasn't gonna find something like that anywhere. So now I took a little victory lap yesterday. And when I pulled out, here's another little sign wonder. I pulled out of the tax office. Now I've got my license plate on the car. One of the license plate bolts is the riv nut that you screw it into is not tight against the hood, so I can't get the screw out. So I had to kind of I got to work on that. I pull out of the tax office and a bright yellow Mini Cooper S, the exact same year and model, exactly the same, identical car to what I used to own, pulled out right in front of me, and we drove down the road side by side. And I thought that was kind of funny that I'm sitting here looking at my old car. The last time I bought a car that was old, that was, the last time I bought a car that could have problems. And so here's another thing. I've out of my mind. I've been so burned out. I was so burned out when I went to look at this car that I was a little bit worried. Do I get the cool Volkswagen or the humble Toyota? And I couldn't find a reason to say no to the Volkswagen, even though I know that Volkswagen's going to cost more if it needs repairs. There could be issues. I know a lot of people with I've driven a lot of them. I know a lot of people who own them. Scotty Kilmer on YouTube hates them, but he hates just about every car there is. So I don't take his advice as verbatim. But he was ripping on my car something fierce when I saw his video about it. But he did show me a few things that the car has that I didn't know. But I was driving yesterday, so I bought it on Sunday. I test drove it, brought it home, had it brought home. I looked at it I spent some time in the car while it was here. Then I drove it to work yesterday. Then I drove it to the tax office. Then I drove to Home Depot, and I'm pulling into the Home Depot parking lot, and the sun's beating down on me. And I'll tell you that in a second, but I'll finish. I won't get sidetracked here. The sun was beating down on me in the Home Depot parking lot. I've been driving this car now I've had it for 2 days. I looked up and I'm like, there's the sky. I didn't even know it, but the car has a sunroof. I didn't even know the car had a sunroof. I owned it for 2 days, and it's glass above my head, and I never even knew that I had a sunroof. That's crazy. That's how out of sorts I am mentally. I never noticed that. Then that makes me second guess everything. I was focused on the engine and under the car and mechanical stuff when I was looking it over. So I kind of my mind, it was a hot day and everything. My whole body was just beat. And so the cosmetic stuff was not really on my mind when I was looking the car over during the test drive. But I'm kind of shocked that I went 2 days without even knowing I have a sunroof. And it's right there above me. I'm driving around, had no idea I have a sunroof until I looked up on my way home yesterday. I'm like, wow, I got a sunroof. So I try to open it. The switch isn't working. Did you wash it to see if the roof leaks? Yay. We'll find out, won't we? It's not a huge sunroof. It's I guess it's like a moon roof, but I call them all sunroofs. The one on my Mini Cooper, holy crap, I had this Mini Cooper with a sunroof that was the size of the roof. And when it retracted, I didn't even know where it goes. It was so big. It was like the Mandela effect. It goes into a portal to another dimension when you pull the roof back, because the whole car would be wide open. And when I bought the car, it leaked bad, really bad. I went out one day in a rainstorm and it was a mess. The whole back of the car was soaking wet. It was so bad. I was so upset about it. But then I opened up the sunroof, and I took a coat hanger and I ran a coat hanger through the drain holes. Fine. Never had another drop of water come into that car the whole time I owned it for 6 years. But whoever owned it before me never had it leak. It never leaked for them. It just kind of was weird that there was all this water in the sunroof area, and I just needed to poke the holes clear the drain holes with a coat hanger. That's all it needed. So if your sunroof leaks on your car, even if the rubber seals aren't bad, there should be drainage tracks that keep it, that'll make it drain. So let's see. So that's something. So I discovered the sunroof doesn't open. I don't know what's involved. There's a sliding thing that you're supposed to be able to pull forward to close the sunroof off. That's missing from the car. Probably not expensive to buy. So I've got the airbag light, which I knew when I bought the car. That could be a small issue. I'm going to see if my OBD scanner can do it, can tell me where it is, where to look. But I've got a cheap one, and I don't know if it'll work with that car, but it's worth a shot. I can get a Volkswagen specific OBD tool from Amazon for $60. That'll save me from having to go to the garage to look at what the codes are for different things. Let's see. I discovered yesterday it was a soupy, humid morning. So it's one of those days where you turn on the air conditioner and your windows fog up from all the moisture in the air outside. Or you turn on the heat, or you turn off the AC and let your windows be visible, but then your mirror is covered with humidity and frost, or moisture, fog. And so I'm driving in and I'm like, well, I need to be able to see out the back window with the mirror. So I'll just turn on the windshield wiper on intermittent and roll the windows down every now and then when I need to see out the mirrors. And so there's other things you can do about that, but this is my first time driving this car on a real drive, so I'm discovering things. So on the driver's side, the button that pushes down the passenger side window didn't work. Like crap. But when I parked in the parking lot, I checked the window goes up and down just fine. The switch was broke. So I'm on Amazon Vine, where Amazon, they invited me probably because I leave a lot of reviews for things I buy. And so that's something, if you're interested in that, I think if you just leave lots of reviews, they'll invite you to this program. Well, they have all kinds of car parts in the Amazon Vine program, so you can get stuff for free. And so I looked up Volkswagen Passat to see what they have. Boom, they have the window switch for the driver's side door. So it's coming tomorrow, I think. And it's coming tomorrow for free. They're going to, I'll have to pay tax on it someday, maybe, unless you can cook the books like everybody else does. But anyway, so I'll be able to replace the window switch tomorrow or the next day. And that's like a 5-minute process. You just need a spudger to pry it out of the door, unconnect it, put the new one in, connect it, put it back in. Pretty detailed reviews about things even before they invited me. And I was pretty thorough. Because I look at the reviews when I buy stuff all the time. And so, but anyway, yeah. Here, I'll share my screen for Angel here. I don't know exactly what you'll see on your screen because I'm logged into my own account. So I'm going to go to my channel and then hit share screen. Oh, it's not going to show you. Hold on a second. Here, I'll show you what's up. All right, so obviously on my own channel, I'm going to see customized channel, manage videos. But let's see, I know this guy has memberships on his channel. So you'll see something here. You'll see the subscribed, that you've subscribed to a channel after the subscribe button, but then next to it will be a join button. And then he's got 3 different levels for his memberships. So that's what you should see on my channel. There should be a join button next to the subscribe on the channel homepage. And it's a little bit different on the mobile app, but it's a little bit different on the mobile app, but the join button should be where the subscribe button is or close to it. So let's see. What else have I discovered on the car? Just little things. The sunroof. I don't know if it's a broken switch. I don't know. It's kind of something I don't want to mess with right now. I'm going to assume that the switch needs replaced, but I don't want to get to. It's not something I'm into right now. Let me fix the door switch and move on from there. And if I can fix the the airbag light myself. That would be good. I've watched a couple of videos already on that. Probably is a loose connection under the passenger seat. That's what the most common one is. It might be as simple as disconnecting it, reconnecting it, and jiggling it around and making sure it's a good fit and restarting the car and see if the light goes away. It might be more complicated. Like I said, I've got the cheapest OBD scan tool that you can buy. So it may not even show the code for it. Or it might. I don't know. That thing surprises me. I mean, I used to use it in my Mini Cooper all the time. And it never didn't show me what was going on. The only difference is that the more expensive ones will give you more information. The solder much, I ain't got time for that. So if it ends up being something like that, take it somewhere. I'll figure it out. Not really concerned. I know the first night I let the car sit outside, I put all kinds of cardboard underneath it, under the front end, just as a quick test to see if I had any drops on the card. Yeah, that's something I would do normally for any vehicle I've just bought. And there was not, the cardboard was clean the next day, so that felt good. What else? I mean, but I paid $3,800 for the car, and after taxes, fees, and everything else, plates on the car, I'm at like $3,950 or less, $3,930, $3,940 altogether. You find me a car, find me a better deal than that. I think I did pretty good. I found out that I'm not 100% sure, but supposedly this Volkswagen I noticed some things on the shifter. It has an S on it. It has drive and then it has S. And I'm like, what's the S? I don't even got time for this. So it doesn't have paddle shifters. I have driven Volkswagens with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and they're pretty fun. And you can put it in manual mode. So I didn't screw around yesterday. So it has the manual mode on the transmission shifter in the console. So so you put it in sport mode and move it over to the side, and then you can bump the stick up and down to change your gears. And supposedly it has a dual clutch transmission. At least that's what Scotty said on YouTube, that it has dual clutch, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna play around. Next time I go for a drive, I'm gonna zip around with that in sport mode, because it does feel like it's got some power. It's a 5-cylinder inline 5-cylinder engine, I believe. It's not the fastest one they make for this car, and it's not turbo, and it's not diesel. So I'm kind of cool. I'm cool with that because I feel like that's less complicated, and I don't really care. Like, I didn't buy this to drive like a sports car, but it does feel like it's got some muscle under the hood. It does go when you put the gas down. It has some balls. So it is a fun little car. I don't even know if it's front wheel drive or not. I'm assuming it's a front wheel drive. I'm assuming it is. Yes, the 2012 Passat is front wheel drive, regardless of engine or transmission, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's cool. What else? I noticed little things since I've bought the car. You're always gonna find little things that you didn't notice till after you have it on a used car. You're gonna notice all kinds of things you didn't see when you were at the dealer or at the even if you took your time. Things that you didn't try out that maybe you should have. Like I should have made sure all the windows work, and because I would have anything like that that's wrong. I would just be like, well, deduct that, come up with a haggle price. But I was kind of like, I was just tapped out on Sunday. I did the best I could, and I don't think I did bad. I'm really not. I feel like as long as the car is in good shape, I can if I decide I don't like this car, I'll just trade it in for something else. At least I've got something now. I should be able to find a better job. So one of the things I did yesterday, I had to kind of I took my I forgot to bring a screwdriver. So when I put the license plate on, I took the little screwdriver out of my Swiss Army knife and just jammed it on just so that I could have the plate on. Then I drove over to Home Depot and got a screwdriver, a nice Milwaukee bit driver. Treated myself right. Another tool for my bicycle tool bag. And then I was right next to this bike shop that I really like. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the bike shop. And I went in to look for a bicycle rack for the trunk. I decided with the sunroof, and it's just, the black low rent gangster sedan. I feel like I'm supposed to be wearing a suit when I get out of this car with a short barrel rifle under my suit jacket. But instead of Versace, it would be like Men's Warehouse, because it's not like a Cadillac or it's not a high end. It's not an Audi. It's not a high end sedan. But it would be something like a low rent Russian gangster would drive around in. Big trunk, huge trunk. You could put two bodies in the trunk of this car, and the back seats fold down, so you got all that room too. But you'd have to have a third body to even put the back seats down. I'm just kind of like on a little victory lap. I decided I would get a trunk mounted rear bicycle carrier. They're not bad. They're kind of a pain. I don't like them because you have to put the rack on first and then the bicycles. And even if you get fast at it, they're still kind of a pain, but you can keep it in your trunk. You can keep that in your trunk, folded up for when you need it. I'm starting to put together a little car toolkit. I've got a little air compressor gun that is battery powered. It's a Ryobi. It looks like a drill, but it's an air compressor. You hold it in your hand. It's really sweet. I used to keep one in each car with an extra battery. Got some other things like the OBD tools and cars. I'm going to get a car specific toolkit like I used to have. I'll get probably a Craftsman ratchet set that I know exactly which one I used to have. And I would just keep that in the trunk in a tool bag with some stuff. Just, your basics, your tire repair stuff and all that kind of stuff. Portable battery, I already got it. Already got 2 portable battery jumpers. I used to have one in each vehicle I owned, and I still have them. Lately, I've been using them on long bicycle trips because I can plug a USB cable into it, run it out my backpack and into the back of my phone on my handlebars. I can keep Google Maps going for probably 25 hours straight with just one of those bricks. So on a long ride where I know I've got to have the map because I'm flying blind and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't want my phone to die, I'll plug that in and just have a wire going from my shoulder down to the phone. And so I got 2 of those jump starters. They're tiny. They'll go in the car. I'm up throwing both in the car. Why not? The Ryobi 2-amp battery started smoking. Oh, I'm probably missing out. Huh. I had some really cool Ryobi tools, and I still have them. Some of them are in Pittsburgh. I got a good deal on some of it, and I had tons of batteries. I had the 40 volt I bought a chainsaw. I had what brand? Black & Decker. I had a cheap ass Black & Decker cordless chainsaw with a 10-inch bar. And that thing became so handy on so many camping trips. It was insane how awesome that thing was to have in my vehicle when I'm camping. Because you can you can take a little chainsaw like that and cut down half a forest of dead wood. Don't go cutting down green trees, but if you got dead wood laying around, you can cut up with it. Even that little saw with a 10-inch bar, one battery would be enough to cut a weekend worth of firewood up. Just zip, 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 zip. Keep a couple extra chains and some oil. I loved that thing. It became so handy, I would take it everywhere. Well, I decided I needed to do some stuff at my house. And I just decided I needed a bigger chainsaw because the 10-inch bar wasn't going to be big enough. There was a tree that needed cut down, like a dead tree that was going to fall on the house. And so I went shopping, and the Milwaukee was nice, but the Ryobi had the 40-volt battery. It was cheaper, and it had an 18-inch bar, and that thing was badass. I'm telling you, that chainsaw was awesome. It came with a case and everything. So I had two chainsaws that were both cordless and enough batteries for everything. Plus, with the Ryobi system, I bought a weed whacker that with a metal attachment, like a brush hog attachment. I did all this landscaping around my house with that. All kinds of crazy stuff. You could take out anything with that metal disc. And that thing that weed whacker was extremely powerful. I had a set. It came with the weed whacker, a leaf blower, and some other stuff, a couple of batteries, a fast charger. It would charge the 40-volt battery in like half an hour or less. So if I had 4 batteries, I never had to pause. I would only have to pause long enough to go get another battery, put it on, put the other one on the charger. And then all these tools came with chargers for everything. So I had a plethora of Ryobi batteries and tools. And no, you don't want that chainsaw. You got to use the same common sense with it. The 10-inch bar chainsaw, you could probably smack your leg with it, and it's not powerful enough to cut your leg off. It really wasn't that great of a saw, but it would cut through wood about, yay big around, 10-inch bar. You would get a number of cuts before the battery would just die in the chain and the thing would get stuck. If you kept the chain oiled, if you had a little oil can with the chainsaw has an oiler built in, but I just kept an oil can next to me and just use that because it's better. I've seen that. Dan says somebody's doing e-bikes with the Ryobi 40-volt batteries, the drill motors. So they were saying, like, in a Tour de France, like the cheaters, the people who are doing, it's called motor doping now. They're saying that, like, the drill from a cheap ass cordless battery or a cordless drill can give you an extra 5 to 10 mile an hour boost on a road racing bike. But I had different camping kits. And so for, like, if I'm going on a long road trip, I might not even take the 10-inch chainsaw with me because it takes up room. I had a bag, a special chainsaw bag with where the bar sticks out of the bag and the bottom is it'll catch any oil leaks or anything like that, so it won't get all over your vehicle. And then I had, accessories, extra chains, things like that, all in the bag with it. And then my big chainsaw had its own case, all the same stuff inside. But I might just leave that home. But it was nice having that little one because, like, I might go on a weekender in the Jeep and I don't feel like taking the full size chainsaw with me because it takes up room, but I can still throw the mini in there, the mini chainsaw, and it for a 3-4 day weekend without I probably had 4 batteries for that thing. And between all 4 of those batteries would cut enough wood to I mean, you'd have a weekend worth of firewood, no problem with that. And then I keep another saw, a folding saw. I can't remember the brand, but it's like the best brand for a folding saw. I just don't have it near me. I can't remember the brand. It's the nicest brand you can buy for a folding saw. And I got the small one. But the blade is so sharp on that thing that would scare me more than the chainsaw would. Like I could take that 10-inch chainsaw and probably hit my arm with the chain and it probably wouldn't even, it might scrape, it might cut me a little bit, but it's not. The Ryobi, different story. That'll cut your arm off in about a second and a half. That's, you could be, Jason Voorhees could, I mean, if they made a new Friday the 13th movie, Jason would have a cordless chainsaw with a battery because it's quiet. That's the best thing about those. That Ryobi chainsaw, I could go to places, I could go to campgrounds and places where there's all kinds of people around, and I could find a dead tree laying on the ground and just be like, zip, 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 and get like a whole weekend of firewood in like 2 minutes. Big old logs like this big around, like nothing. It just zip, 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 zip. Like 15 minutes, we got a whole weekend stacked up of firewood. And the beautiful thing about it is you can be right next to people and they'll have no idea that you're using a chainsaw. You know, whereas you're out in the national forest with a big, you know, you know, you got like your steel or your Husqvarna or your high-end chainsaw. People are going to hear you cutting down the forest from 1.5 miles away. But with a cordless chainsaw, the Milwaukee is rated really high. And it is a better chainsaw than the Ryobi. But the Ryobi has a better battery, had a higher voltage battery, at least when I was comparing them side by side. And I was buying the battery. Like I was trying to figure out which system I wanted to go with. And these Ryobi 40-volt batteries were just brand new at the time. And I was like, holy crap, I can get a lawnmower that takes this battery and like other things. And like the Milwaukee didn't have the same, but the quality of the chainsaw, the Milwaukee was definitely better, like metal, where on the Ryobi is plastic and different things like that. Like, so the Milwaukee was a little bit more money, but not a lot more. I just went with the Ryobi stuff and I bought it all at once and started using it. But it was because I wanted it was because I needed a chainsaw. But after I bought the chainsaw, I was like, ooh, I can get this set of tools and it comes with an extra battery and an extra charger. And then, so I kind of finagled it all to where I could get the most batteries and that like the most value for the money. And that thing was awesome. That Ryobi chainsaw, oh my God, you could with about 4 batteries with that thing, you could tear a whole forest down in like 20 minutes and no one would hear you do it. They say if a tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound. Well, with an electric cordless chainsaw, it doesn't make a sound. It's just zip, zip, and you're done. And nobody knows. Somebody could be 15 feet away and not even know you did it. So I love those things. I don't think I'll ever buy a gas-powered anything now with the battery technology where it's at. A weed whacker, the 2-stroke weed whackers where you got to mix the oil and the gas together and you got to prime the thing and pull the ripcord and they don't want to start and they suck. And this weed whacker that I had from Ryobi was better. It was powerful. I mean, this thing, they had a metal attachment that the thing was awesome. It had all these different attachments and you just twist the thing, pull it off, put the other thing on, and it's good. That's pretty much, yeah, Ryobi's strategy is give the tools away and sell the batteries. That's how I played the game with them, because like that's how I got the portable inflator for the tires. They had this deal where you buy the batteries and you get free tools. And so I ended up getting 2 of the inflators. I got another thing where you plug into the battery and it has a power outlet on it. And so you can use those batteries to power stuff, anything that you can plug into it, because it's just like a standard outlet. And you could use it as a USB charger for your phone or whatever. Had a bunch of those. Had the inflator things, the trigger powered tire inflator, and I had a few other tools. And I just bought, anytime they had a deal where you buy a couple batteries and get a free tool, I'd go get them. And so I had a bunch of them. The 40-volt leaf blower was free. It came with the weed whacker. It was a weed whacker with the leaf blower, a battery, and a charger, and it was cheap. Now the battery, I bought a battery by itself, the 40-volt battery, and I got the best one, and it was more than the tools. I mean, it was wicked expensive, but all the tools that I bought came with. So I had like 4 or 5 of these batteries. And believe me, you only need 2. I never ran into a situation ever where I needed more than 2 batteries. And the fast charger that they make is so fast that if I was doing all the trim work and using the weed whacker around the yard with the brush hog attachment, and that brush hog would cut a tree down this thick. Where's something that thick around a tree growing up out of the ground that you want to get rid of because it's, you're just using the brush hog. That metal attachment to the weed whacker would cut right through it like it was not even there. Like Jason Voorhees would love that thing too. It was almost like having a circular saw blade at the end of a weed whacker. Just like right through it, nothing. I mean, there was nothing that I couldn't get. There was nothing out there that I couldn't cut through that thing in with, except for like an actual tree. I used it to cut tree branches down when I was tree trimming one day. Just zip, 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 like it nothing. And they actually make a tree trimmer attachment for that weed whacker that you just screw on the end. And it has like a small, 10-inch chainsaw attachment on a pole. But I never ran into a situation at home where a battery would die. I would go put it on the fast charger, and I'd go back out with a fresh battery. And by the time the fresh battery was dead, I'd go back in the house and the one on the fast charger is already fully charged. I would have 4 or 5 batteries sitting there, and I would never need to go past battery number 2. And I could be out there for hours doing stuff. And I would just alternate between the batteries I'm using and sometimes just mix it up so that they're all getting rotated. But they last a while, and like not ridiculous. I mean, but I found myself having to change batteries about the same frequency as you would change gas in a weed whacker like that. One of those, 2-stroke engine weed whackers. But I'll never buy one of those again. I'll never buy a weed whacker with an engine or motor in it. I just think they're ridiculous. They're hard to maintain. They're hard to start. They're a pain. Like, I hate having to mix the oil and the gas and all the stuff. I hate those things. That Ryobi thing kicked ass compared to any weed whacker I ever owned or used. That thing was awesome. So I don't know. I mean, people rip on Ryobi tools all the time. I think it's like the bicycle equivalent is Park Tool is the Snap-on of bicycling tools. So if you own a bicycle shop, if you look in a bicycle shop, you're going to see all the tools have bright blue handles on them. All the blue is the theme of a bike shop tool set. and that blue handled tool is a Park tool. And so they're the most expensive bicycle tools. And there are some tools I will not compromise on. I won't buy the cheapy version. I'll buy Park because it's like Snap-on. It's either never going to break, or if it does, they'll send you a new one. Like pedal wrench. I will never buy a pedal wrench that's not made by Park Tool, because every pedal wrench I've ever owned in my life that wasn't made by them broke, because the forces involved on pedals, taking them on and off, will destroy a cheap ass pedal wrench. But the Park Tool wrenches never break. They never die. You'll have a bike shop will own a Park Tool wrench for 30 years and never need to buy another one. But they're not as expensive as Snap-on tools. A Park Tool pedal wrench that's like 18 inches long will cost like $50. A Snap-on, if that had a Snap-on logo on it, it would be $600 for the same damn wrench. But it's kind of like that. But for a home mechanic, if you're going to be taking pedals on and off a bike, you could probably get away with a cheaper pedal wrench, depending on the bike, depending on certain things. There are other tools that I will buy a cheap. I don't have a Park Tool chain tool. I found another brand that looked pretty badass, and it's an awesome chain tool. It's not Park, and it costs about half as much, and it's a great tool, and I love the thing. It's the best chain tool I've ever owned. So, like, it's the same thing with tools in your garage and whatnot. Yeah, the DeWalt tools are better. They're better. Milwaukee's better. I think isn't DeWalt the high end of, like, Black & Decker and DeWalt are made in the same place, but the DeWalt brand is the better quality. And it's the same thing with Ryobi and Milwaukee now, where Ryobi and Milwaukee come from the same factory, but the Milwaukee is the better stuff and the Ryobi is the cheap stuff. It depends on what you're going to use the tools for. Like, I have no beef with somebody who wants high-end tools. I mean, there is a difference. I won't argue quality. Do I think Snap-on tools are worth what they pay? No. I think they've gone through I think that Snap-on, in my opinion, and I'm not an auto mechanic, but I feel like they just ride on their brand name and they charge a premium just to have that logo on your tools. Like, I don't feel like is a freaking Snap-on wrench that costs $600, but a Craftsman wrench that costs $50? How many Craftsman wrenches am I going to go through if I buy the Craftsman set instead of let's even go one step further. Craftsman back in the day when it wasn't like Chinesium garbage. And I mean, is Snap-on, have they gone to China to get Chinesium wrenches made dirt cheap so they can sell them for $600 a wrench? I don't know. But I feel like they do. I feel like Snap-on probably gets their crap from the same China factory that Craftsman does, and Husky Tools and all the other tool brands. I'm sure they all come from the same place in China. Just have the machine has a different stamp for the logo. But if I buy a really decent set of Craftsman, I already know which one I want. I want to replace the one I used to have when I was arrested. And I already know I just got to find it for the right price, because they always go on sale. And you can get it for half price if you wait for the right deal, either on Amazon or Home Depot or whoever. I think Lowe's sells them. I don't know. Whoever sells it. There's a certain set that worked great for me. And it was like all self-contained. I could keep it in my car. Everything had a place. So for me, and the amount of use I already have bicycle tools. So my Craftsman set is going to sit in the car. And occasionally I'm going to want to use a ratchet out of it. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to go out to the trunk, grab it, bring it in the house, do something with it, take it back out to the car and leave it in the trunk. But a good ratchet set will, there are so many, I can tell you from experience, there's so many times that having a decent ratchet set made the difference on a road trip of having to stop and get something fixed, or me just going and being done with it. So I like, but I mean, do I need a Snap-on set in my car that costs $10,000, or I could get the Craftsman set for $150 or $99 when it's on sale, and they always go on sale? Yeah, well, Dan says the idea is use quality so it doesn't cost you more in time. Cheap sockets, strip bolts. Now you've turned an hour job into 4-hour job. Yeah, I agree with that. I won't argue that point. But is the quality so bad on a decent set of Craftsman wrenches that you're going to be stripping bolts all the time? And I mean, if something's, I don't know. I mean, the Park Tools, what did we use for our metric wrenches at the bike shop I worked at? I don't even remember. I had a set of Husky tools. I had a set on my wall in my bike shop at home of Husky wrenches, metric, and this is for bicycles. This isn't for cars, so there's a difference there. I know this. I had everything from like 6 millimeter, 4 millimeter, all the way up to like 20 something millimeter on a wall, all on pegboard. And the 15 millimeter stripped out more than once. But the wrench would strip out, not the bolts. And that was typically when I was being a dumbass and using it 15. Typically, so the 15 millimeter bolts on bicycles will be axle nuts on cheap bikes, pedal wrenches. So if I ever used it instead of a pedal wrench for whatever reason, or certain, sometimes you just get a bad week. I was doing repairs for people, so I was using these a lot. And the 15 would strip out more than once, and I'd have to go to Home Depot with a stripped out wrench and go get a new one and go home and go back to my life. And so that didn't bother me at all, having cheap wrenches that I have to go replace. And it was only the 15 millimeter that would consistently do that because of what I'm using it for. So I'm sure that a 15 millimeter Snap-on wrench would have probably lasted a lot longer, but that's a little bit ridiculous for a bike shop too. I don't even know bicycle shops that use those, but Park really doesn't, as far as I'm aware. I'm sure they do, but I know our wrenches in the bike shops I've worked at weren't Park. The box wrenches were just probably Craftsman or some other regular brand. I don't know what brand though, but I don't know. To me, it's like, yeah, if I was an auto mechanic and I owned a garage, the best quality tools are what you want, because you don't want to. It's like you lose if you break a wrench and you can't finish a job until you get your new wrench. Money's going down the drain. So the money that you spend on the high quality tools is just like it's an insurance policy to keep you going. Exactly. Snap-on's great for professional mechanics. Harbor Freight is good for weekend warriors. I feel like a good Craftsman set's like in the middle of a Harbor Freight and a Snap-on. It's kind of like, I don't know if I want to go Harbor Freight for my car toolkit, but the Craftsman set that I used to have was really nice. It was really nice. I never had a problem with it, but it was occasional use. It sat in my vehicle most of the time, but like, you never knew. Like, I'd have it in my vehicle. My ex, she owned a salon, and like, here's just a random handy time it came in handy. Her chairs in the salon were all loose, and all the bolts on the chairs were loose. And typical woman didn't have the time to deal with that or didn't want to. That we deal with this shit in the bakery too. The bakery where I work. If I have a tool, I'm going to have this toolkit in my car now when I get it. There's so many loose bolts on things at this bakery, but it's all a bunch of women and they don't want to take the time to just fix it. So I fix things from time to time, but there's no tools there. So it's all like, duct tape and coat hanger fixes. When I tell the manager all the time, I'm like, just go to Home Depot and get a toolkit, for crying out loud, and we can fix half the broken things here. But anyway, it's like that at that salon. So one day I'm in there, I'm like, all your chairs are loose. I'm like, why don't you fix them? Oh, I haven't gotten around to it, blah, blah. I'm like, it'll take 5. I'm like, hold on a second. I go out to my truck, come back in with my toolbox, and 15 minutes later, all the chairs are like brand new again. And I'm like, there you go. Like, it's just always handy to have a little toolbox with you. And if it's something you can carry in your trunk, if it's something that you can just have in your vehicle and it's out of the way, and it's not like I had like this little Han Solo compartment in the Jeep where you lift up a panel in the back and you can put stuff in there, and it fit in there. And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, so Dan says he respects Icon. The value is there. Is that the Harbor Freight brand of tools? I mean, I could look into it. It's kind of like, now that I've got a car, okay, cool, good to know. I will compare it price-wise. Because now that I've got a car, I just like today, I'm not doing squat today. My place, look behind me here. You'll see what I'm talking about. Look at that. My whole place is a mess. The last 2-3 weeks of having to ride my bike so much, and just my place is borderline squalor right now. The only saving grace is that I only have to clean 3 rooms. A room, this room, the next room, and the bathroom. So, but it's bad. It's bad. I've had no energy at all. Like, it's so bad that I'll go and get food today so that I don't have to cook anything. I don't even want to make a sandwich because that'll dirty a plate. The last few weeks. But yes, today is my first day to actually recover. Somebody in the comments a few minutes ago, or if I scroll up, said something about if your foot pain is still there in a few weeks, go get it looked at. It won't be. It really, I think I've got bike shoes that are one European size too big for me, because European sizes go, I'm riding, they're 45, which is close to an 11. 44 is what I normally wear, but they felt tight. Now I've got a brand new pair that I should have asked for 44s as my replacement shoes, but I just went with the same size. Another pair of shoes I got on Facebook Marketplace are 44s, and they feel tight. So I'm kind of in that. I don't know. There could be something going on with my shoes, but I was riding for months without having pain in my feet like that. And this just popped up a couple of months ago. And so I think it's just my feet have been through too much in general. And it's not just the bike riding, but the job itself, standing on my feet all day. I think this happened to me in Jamestown. I walked 550 miles from May 1st till September when I moved to Houston. And I had some serious foot problems when I moved to Houston. I had a hard time walking. I would go on a walk with my friend around the neighborhood, and I couldn't keep up with him because my feet were in such bad shape. But I started riding my bike. I was working at the bakery 30 hours a week, and my feet hurt so bad. Like, we have rolling carts with where we keep chocolate chips and stuff like that. And they have the locking wheels where you lift up with your foot to unlock the bin so you can roll it around. My feet hurt so bad I couldn't unlock the bin with my foot. Like just the pressure of trying to lift the thing up, I'd be in pain. By the time Christmas came around, my feet felt fine. And so I think my pinky toe on my right foot developed a couple of pretty bad corns, and I've got them scraped off pretty good. You use the liquid corn remover that you dab on with a little stick, and then you put a Band-Aid over it. It's not that's in your heel. Plantar fasciitis, or however you pronounce that. That's heel pain. My pain is in my toe, my pinky toe and my big toe. And I've got flat feet, so my feet are already screwed to begin with. And it's just pressure points in the shoes that are rubbing my feet the wrong way. And so even when I was homeless, walking 500-600 miles, I developed so many pains in my feet, and now they're gone. But now I've got different pains from bicycling 4,000 miles just about. And they've gotten pronounced over the last couple of months, and they're the kind of pain that you need to take a break or it's not going to stop. And so I got to use the pumice stones, and I've got to they're nerved. I think there might be some nerves that need to heal. Different things like that. Just it's not like super serious, but it has an effect on how fast I can ride my bike and for how long. That's one of the reasons I didn't go look at that Mercedes that was 40 miles away. I'm conditioned, even with my fat belly, I can go 80 miles on a bicycle without feeling tired. In terms of, I can do it. I can go 40 miles, turn around and come back. And yeah, I'm going to be tired because that's a big workout, but I can do that without the biking doesn't bother me. The thing that would bother me is my foot. My foot within about 10 to 15 miles would start flaring up and that would be torture to ride with that pain in my toe. And they're kind of doing it on both feet, but one foot is worse than the other. I can try changing to my newer bike shoes. I can change cleat positions. There's different things I can try. Insoles, tape. So, but I'm going to take 2 weeks off the bike and see where I'm at. And then I might start riding to the bakery on Saturdays to get my 50 miles a week. And then and see what happens. See if I can ride to the bakery, come back without any pain. And if I can, good. If not, it gives me time to play around and screw around. And see what I can do to make that go away. I have a former friend. So after I got arrested, all my friends disappeared, except for right now it's like one person. I had lots of friends before this happened, and after I got arrested, find out who your friends are. And it wasn't like people stopped being friends with me because our politics were they were in the exact same place politically speaking as I was, saying the same things I would say. Like we were all on the same page. But Adam gets arrested for the things he said, so we're done with him. Anyway, that was a long-winded way to say I had a friend who hiked a lot. And he developed some stuff with his toes from it. And he developed something in his toes, and I dropped him off. I was going on a photography trip, and he asked me if I could give him a ride to Maryland. So I drove him to Cumberland, Maryland, so he could walk the bicycle trail back to Pittsburgh, which is about 170 miles. He was going to hike it. And so we actually camped for a night before I dropped him off. And then the next morning, I dropped him off at the trailhead. And it was actually kind of funny because there was this big race starting. And I dropped him off, and he's got this big hiking backpack on and trekking poles and stuff like that. And like, I went up to the race announcer and told him what my friend was about to do. And so, like, there was this big crowd there, and all these people get ready for this running race. And so I got the announcer to make this big announcement that my friend was going on this long drive and to have everybody cheer for him. And so it was freaking hilarious. But he hiked about 50 miles of the 170, and he had to get a call to have someone come pick him up because his toes hurt so bad he couldn't walk anymore. And this is a pretty flat. This is a bike trail. This isn't. It's limestone. It's crushed limestone, so it's packed down pretty hard. When it's dry out, it feels like pavement. When it rains, it gets a little soft. But you can ride a road bike on it. You don't need a mountain bike to ride that. And but yeah, he had and he's had toe problems ever since. And he hiked the whole Appalachian Trail before, and but he developed certain things from that were long lasting and they're hard. Once something like that sets in, it can be hard to deal with. Other than I just have the feeling that being off the bike for a couple of weeks my foot will feel better. I'm wearing my Hokas. Hoka shoes have really wide toe boxes. I'm going to wear my Hoka sneakers with my arch supports for a couple of weeks everywhere I go. And that will help my feet tremendously. So I don't know. I'm probably going to wear my Hokas at work too, instead of the boots that I know, those steel-toed boots that I've been wearing forever. I wore the Hokas yesterday to work. They slip and slide. They're not anti-slip, but it's not like we're spilling grease on the floor all day. But the bakery floors do get slippery because it's all butter. Everything has butter in it. So anything that hits the floor is adding butter to the floor. But they weren't too bad yesterday, and I noticed that I was pretty comfortable wearing them all day. Or I didn't even work all day, but I was there until about 1:30, and they weren't too bad at all. So I think just taking care of my feet for a few weeks and not having to ride my bike, riding by choice, unless, heaven forbid, this car does something to me. But I should be good to go. I'm even thinking about, because I saved so much money buying this car, I could buy an e-bike. I have one bookmarked on Facebook. I could go get it. A nice one, a nice specialized turbo city bike, commuter e-bike. Has like 90 miles on it. The owner, it's basically brand new. And I don't know. I feel like not having two cars is a weakness when having one car beats the living hell out of not having a car. But I know from experience the feeling that you get when your car starts making a weird noise. Oh no. And you start to panic because it's your car. How do I get to my job? How do I get here? Oh my, how do I drop this car off? And how long am I going to be without my car? I know from experience that having two vehicles gives you a much better peace of mind, because my car would break. My car would have something wrong with it. And I'd be like, well, I get paid at the end of the month. I'll let it sit. I'll drive the other one at the end of the month. When I get my paycheck, I'll take it in, have it fixed, whatever. You can your peace of mind is a lot better. So I'm not going out and buying another car. I just got a car 2 days ago. I'm okay. I might, for curiosity's sake, I might go look at that Mercedes convertible that I was showing you guys and just walk in unannounced just to look at it, like kind of like to satisfy my curiosity, not because I'm going to go buy it, but just to look it over, like just to satisfy. But I don't even really have a reason to be in that area of the city. So I've probably got a million other things to do, but there is a thing in the back of my mind that says, I just want to go see that car just to see, because it looked so nice in the photos. The cars always look worse in person. And is this car full of problems? Would that have been a waste of my time to ride out there, etc.? But I think, more productive use of my time, if I'm thinking, what do I do in a backup situation where my car breaks down and I got to be somewhere? Say I get a job that's far away, farther than 25 miles, and I've got to drive there every day. What if it's 35 miles and my car breaks down? An e-bike would be all right. An e-bike would get me there quick. That specialized turbo e-bike, you can probably... JS, no, I'm not trading my VW for the Mercedes. I would never do that. The only thing that Mercedes would be is a second vehicle if I ever bought it. But I'm not. I got better things to do. I'm just curious to look at the car because it looked like it was too good to be true in the photos for like how nice it was for its age. But even the photos of my car look way better than the car itself. And the car is in great shape. I just rewatched all of the Chris Fix auto detailing videos last night, which honestly, if you want to know how to shine your car and detail it, Chris Fix is probably the best place to go on YouTube for that. His car washing videos are the best. The only thing I might do different than him is use a power buffer. For getting the wax off after you wax the car. But everything else that dude does is spot on. That dude will make a car. Watch his car wash video where he restores this Mustang that he bought that looked like crap, and he made it look brand spanking new. So I'm looking at those videos for the Volkswagen, because that's what it looked like in the photographs. But in the real life, it's like, it's nice and it's clean. But if I spent an afternoon, if I get the right stuff, and if I did the right stuff, I would and just took an afternoon to do it, I could make that car look like it was brand new. And there's a couple scratches on the windshield of this Volkswagen from something got on the windshield wipers and got burned into the windshield. So I'm going to try to get a windshield polishing kit to take those scratches out. And then there's some other tricks that you can do instead of, the short term, I'm probably just going to throw some Rain-X on it. But the long-term solution is to buff out the scratches, and then you can use car wax on your window, and that's like 1,000 times better than Rain-X. It works so much better. But the scratches from the windshield wipers aren't deep enough. I'm pretty sure they can be buffed out with a window scratch repair kit. That you basically put a pad on a cordless drill and just back and forth, wet sand it, and just, do it in stages so you don't overheat the window as you're doing it. And and there's lots of, there's some window tint film on the windows inside the car that got chipped. I can probably have that redone or do it myself. The back window has some film on it that's all bubbled up and crap. I'm just going to peel it off because it looks like crap, especially from the inside of the car. But I mean, the interior is beautiful. I might get some leather conditioner to really shine up the leather seats, but there's no tears. There's no like, there's some little cracking in the center armrest console thing, whatever, the where you lift up for storage and stuff. And just little things, little things. There's nothing broken inside the car. There's nothing that's just like no cracks on the dash at all. The steering wheel has a steering wheel cover on it. I hate those things. But the steering wheel itself has wear like a 12-year-old car would have. But I would rather, I'm going to take the steering wheel cover off and just try to condition the steering wheel the best I can. There's things to do there. I hate those steering wheel covers so much. They slide around. I feel like they're dangerous. Hate those things. I haven't taken it off yet but I would rather have a beat up, like I'd rather have a steering wheel that's worn, but I haven't felt like taking the thing off and looking at what's like, why did they put a cover on the steering wheel? Is it really bad, or is it just, I can get some leather conditioner or whatever and just kind of, I think every steering wheel I've ever owned has wear and tear on it. I mean, that's normal, but I don't want, if I'm going to put some sort of cover on a steering wheel cover, it would be like those lace-up ones or something that's not going to move ever. But not those ones that you just slide over the steering wheel. I hate those things. Hate those things. When when it's cold, they stick just fine. But as soon as that car sits out in the sun for a minute, they get all loose and they slide around. I'm like, you're just asking for an accident, or I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll get in an accident, but I hate those things. I hate those things. So I have a running list in my head already. And with cars, it's kind of like when I like a car, I'm constantly trying to make it a better car and fix things and upgrade things. And, oh, if that thing's looking shitty, go find a new one. And, I'm trying to always keep my car in like top tip condition. But once that car crosses a line somewhere where it's like, all right, I'm just using this to go get groceries. I hate this thing. I want to get rid of it, blah, blah, blah. Then I just let it go. And I don't really care anymore. So I don't know how and when that will happen with this car. But in the short term, I'm just going to take a little bit of time here and there to try and make it as nice as I can make it. And then if something changes my mind and I don't like it anymore, I'll figure it out from there. My Wrangler, I would let it go for a while without a good detailing. Because it's a Wrangler, it's a Jeep. That's what that's what you do. But then I would go and just top to bottom try to make it look as new as I could. The Mini Cooper, I would do the same thing, but there were things on that car that needed TLC that I didn't want to spend the money on because the car was so old. And I was using it. To me, it was like a daily driver. If I was trying to make it showroom worthy, different story. Like the guy who bought it from me, that's what he wanted to do to the car. He wanted to make it a showpiece. I was keeping it maintained as a daily driver. And if I was going to put any money into a vehicle, it was going to be my Jeep. And the car, I was just maintaining it at the level of, like when the exhaust had a hole in it, I bought a Borla exhaust for it because it was an upgrade. But because the car was so old, it was on clearance. I got a Borla exhaust kit for $600 straight from the factory, and it had no problem. They had no problem installing it. There was no like fitment issues or nothing with it. They put it on in like an hour. Um, awesome, awesome sounding exhaust, way better than the stock exhaust on that car. Um, the but other things would break, like I would make sure that there was a little issue with the glove box, and that's common with those minis. A new glove box door, OEM, brand new, was going to be like 200 and something dollars. I'm like, get out of here. So I kept trying to like finagle it, and finally I just got to the point where the thing just wouldn't stay closed. And no matter what I did, it was just making it worse. And I'm like, I'm not duct taping this thing shut. So I just kept looking at eBay until a couple of them popped up. One was brand new, had never been installed, had the plastic key and everything. And I got it for like $50 and did the work and installed it myself. And so like I would do things. The Mini had no tears in the leather seats, but the leather seats were kind of beat. And I know for a fact if I had taken the time to condition them, they could have made them look brand new again. But I was kind of like hit or miss on that car. How much effort I wanted to put into it. So with this Volkswagen for now, I don't know. I enjoy tinkering around with things like that. I mean, I'm not getting into any craziness where you would, I don't have a garage. I don't even have a paved driveway to work on it. I park on the grass. And so I don't, and it's hot out here. So, if it's 100 degrees outside, I'm probably not going to feel like working on a car. But, I mean, it's a cool car. And for now, unless I see something that makes my heart jump out of my chest, I'm probably going to try and fix up I'm going to make a running list of everything I find that needs addressed and just see what I can do one thing at a time. And just make, I don't want to put a ton of money into it, but 6 months to a year from now, if I maintain it and make it better than it was, I could probably, based on what I paid for it, I could probably sell it for what I paid for it and get all my money back out of it. I've done that. Bought my Mini Cooper for $5,000 and put 6 years worth of wear and tear on it and sold it for $4,000. So I paid $1,000 to have a car for 6 years. Aside from the money I put into the car, and maintaining it and upgrading a few things. But the total cost of ownership for that car never even approached $10,000 for the 6 years I owned it. It was like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't have access to my spreadsheets from when before I was arrested. That was all in a Google spreadsheet. I don't have access to that anymore, so I don't really know. But I would know down to the penny, at least purchase price. I financed like $2,500 of it, so there was some interest. I knew exhaust parts, things like that, oil changes, maintenance. I had all that listed and had all the receipts. Person that bought it from me got all the receipts of everything I did to it. So I had the total history of but I was like the 4th owner. And there were some other things with it. But the total cost of ownership was low on that car. I had it for 6 years. And when you add up the purchase price and all the stuff I did to it down to the penny, and then subtract what I sold it for, I don't even know if it cost me $5,000 to have that car for 6 years. So, I mean, other than the cost of insurance and gas and those things, I don't add in. But anything I did to that car, other than gas, the government fees, registration, insurance, license plate fees, things like that, I didn't count. But like things that the car itself needed. Probably, if I washed the car and waxed it, I didn't calculate the cost of wax. I did none of that. Um, but anything mechanical, anything a mechanic did, anything that I did that I bought a part for, there were different pieces, small things that I replaced on that car myself, and still dirt cheap. So if I can do the same thing with this car, keep it for a few years and use this to make my life better. I was talking about, leveling up. I've really felt like I was battling the final boss until yesterday. Like there was a huge relief of stress when I left the tax office holding on to my license plate going, oh, I'm about to be. And then like the first time I get behind the wheel of the car and I don't got to look behind me to make sure the cops aren't following me with no license plates, I'm like, oh, thank God. It felt so good, so good. It was the same feeling I got when I moved into this place. So like the leveling up, I'm talking about, life is a lot like a video game. Wherever you're at, we're all in a different place in life. And there's a lot of ups and downs, but you can kind of you can compare it to just about any video game. Because each video game has multiple levels. And level 2 might be easier than level 1 until you get to a certain point in level 2 where there's some big challenge, some bridge you've got to jump across and time it just right, or there's a boss at the end of the level who will kick your ass 10 times before you beat him. But sometimes it's hard to get to the next level, but sometimes you cruise through that level until you get to a certain spot, and then you get really upset and you get blocked, and you have to actually improve your skills and your character and all that stuff to get to the next level. And so for me, level 0 was prison. I went to 4 different prisons during the course of that nonsense. And the 4th one was the best one in terms of you could let your guard down a little bit and relax and spend time outside and get exercise and read books. And, there were different things about it that were better than where any place I'd been prior to that. But I'm still at level 0. And then level 1 was walking out the door outside the other side of the barbed wire fence. I'm on level 1 now. And let me tell you, man, anytime you've ever seen a movie of someone being released from prison, waiting for a bus to pick them up or whatever, or a cab, how, like, that was me. Walked out the prison door with a pair of shorts and a freaking gray sweater, waiting for a cab ride, was like that's one of the craziest things I've ever felt in my life that day. But that was level 1. Just, I'm outside the barbed wire fence. And then that next month and a half was an absolute nightmare. Every single day of it was terrible. Terrible to the point where level 2, like an upgrade, was the day I became homeless, was better. Homeless was better than living with my ex. How many of you can say that if you've ever lived with somebody that things didn't work out with, how many of you can say that being homeless was better than living with your ex? It was. I didn't think it would be because, I'd never been homeless before, so I didn't know anything about it. I expected homeless was going to suck, and it definitely did. But level 2 homeless was better than level 1 having a home. There was no comparison between the two. Homeless was better. And then level 3 comes along where I moved to Houston, living at my best friend's house. Huge upgrade from being homeless, from all that. Level 3 was a big improvement. And but that ran its course, as it would. And it wasn't like I moved into my friend's house with the expectation, hey, I'm just going to live here from now on. I had to go out and make it happen, get out of there. It was just a stepping stone. And then level 4 was when I moved into that tool shed, that stupid little tiny house piece of trash with that awful scam artist slumlord. But it was better than living at my friend's house for a number of reasons. I have more privacy. I could come and go as I please, and it wasn't like I couldn't do that at my friend's house, but it's my place. Living in a tool shed on your own is still better than living at your friend's house, even though my friend had a really nice house and a nice big bedroom. And my bed at his house was bigger than some people's apartments are in New York City. So it was a nice, but it was still an upgrade to move into that tool shed. But then things went south really fast. Anybody who's a fan of the channel knows. And so I was up against, and every time I get to this, like where the level changes, there's like a big struggle. Like there's literally a boss at the end of each level that you got to beat, the level boss, before you get to the next level. And so level 5 was moving into this place here where I'm living right now. And it was great. Best level yet. I've leveled up 5 times now. I'm a level 5 wizard when I was a level 4 magician. And so now I'm having a good time. I'm living here. It's a bigger place. It's quiet. There is all the drama. The landlord's good here. He's a cool dude. I like him. He's a cool motherfucker. I got no beef with anything here, really. Small things, but nothing. It's nice. But the distance and the bicycling and all that stuff has been wearing me down. And so the car situation just magically happens. Money falls out of the sky, but I still had to, it was still tough. Like it was almost handed to me from nowhere, the opportunity to go get a car, but I still had to like do it. And it was still difficult. And I limped to the finish line. Like I have no energy today, none. Yesterday was even worse. I had less than no energy, but I'm at level 6 now. Like now that I've got a car and I can get myself around. And now I feel like it seems like every time you level up, it's just like a video game. You beat the boss on level 4 and level 5 starts out pretty easy and you can just kind of coast along and you're like, man, oh, this is so much better than having to fight that boss at the end of level 4. Level 4 for me, the boss was that slumlord and trying to find a new place to live and getting past that. And now I'm here and the boss became finding a car without getting swindled, without having a dealer take advantage of me, without losing the money that was handed to me to do it, etc. And so now I don't even know what level 7 is going to be. There's a bunch of different things that could be. I don't know which one of the several things it is, or it could be something totally different. I have different ideas of what the next level will be. But it always seems like you can just kind of coast when you level up for a little bit. Some people keep saying level 7 could be early release. I'm not holding out for that one. The Trump administration, look what's happening now. All these Democrats are running their mouth and losing their jobs and getting arrested for doing the same thing I did. But now the Republicans see this as an opportunity to get revenge against the party that did us wrong. I mean, I'm saying us. I'm not really a Republican or a Democrat, but with all the crap going on, I'm definitely not a Democrat. And I'm kind of a Republican. But I always tell people I'm half hillbilly and half hipster. I don't fit in with either mold. Like most of us don't fit exactly into one side or the other. If you really get to know somebody, they even the hardest of hardcore one or the others. But some people do. It's like the non-playable character in the video game. They're just like, I feel like sometimes I am a character in a video game, but I'm like the player. And you do run across these non-playable characters that are just like scripted. They're so ridiculous that they can't even be real people. Like I think about that when I see somebody driving in their car alone in 2025 wearing a mask on their face. I'm like, that can't be a real person. Really? Like, that's just one of those video game people. That's like in Grand Theft Auto when you got the random people walking down the sidewalk that you can just run over and you won't even get a star for it. Like, that's what these people are. I don't even think they're real people. So, I think about things sometimes too much, but I don't really fit in the mold of Democrat or Republican. But anyway, to get back to the point, there were a lot of people getting treated, maybe not as bad as I did, but how many people got canceled, kicked off of social media for being a Republican? How many people had their lives destroyed? How many people, the Democrats ruined so many people's lives and destroyed so many things in this country that now Charlie Kirk gets shot in the neck, and all the Democrats that laugh about it online, you've got an army of pissed off people who have been waiting for an opportunity to completely steamroll over you. And that's what's going on right now. And so you've got people who went too far and ran their mouth saying, you got like some, you've got multiple Democrats. Now I don't know their names. I got to make a list and then maybe I can share my screen with you guys. But there's at least 5 cases I can think of right now where somebody ran their mouth on social media just like me, but they said, I want to cut Donald Trump's throat or something like that. And the FBI is at their house with a tank sending them to prison. And these people are all in jail right now. So now that the Republicans are rounding up the Democrats and being hard on them for mouthing off online, you think they're going to give me any kind of release or any kind of relief or any kind of sympathy or any kind of anything? They're not. Because what's going to happen? They let me go. They give me early release on probation. And then all the Democrats are going to turn around and say, look at, why did he get the special treatment? You just threw all these people in federal prison for saying, I want to cut Donald Trump's head off, or whatever they said that got them in trouble. And you're going to let him off. I don't feel like, I would take it if I could get it. I'll take anything I can get, but I'm not getting no pardon. I'm not getting a pardon from Donald Trump when they're out there arresting people and treating them the same way that I was treated when I mouthed off on social media. And I've got case after case after case after case after case. Maybe if I see these people getting time served and going home after a year, maybe I'll reach out and say, yo, why do these people get light? Slap on the wrist. But that's not even a slap on the wrist. But if you get arrested by the FBI for mouthing off online, you're going to sit in jail for a year. One woman got house arrest, but it was that judge, that Bousberg judge that hates Donald Trump. So he let her out on house arrest, but she's still on an ankle bracelet. But they're not going to give me early release or pardon me or anything like that, because then that makes them look two-faced. And look at what the Republicans are doing to the Democrats now. There are armies of internet trolls that are looking for every single Democrat that they can find that laughed or told a joke about Charlie Kirk, putting them on a fucking list, and then having an army of people go after that person to get them fired from their job and completely destroy their life just because of a Twitter post or because of a TikTok video or because of a Facebook post or something like that. And I'm, am I upset about it? No, not really. I don't feel any sympathy for them, but I can understand I can understand it because I was them. I went to prison, but I guess I'm not going to be too upset or boo-hooing about someone that lost their job for doing that, because they came at me. They drove a tank. The FBI showed up at my house, drove a tank into my fucking house, took everything away from me, took my career, took my kids, took my home, pretty much everything I owned except for a bunch of random things that somehow made it to my new place. And it's random as can be because people just came over to my house and it was like a salvage party. They were just trying to pick and choose things that I might like to have again when I'm out of prison. And, but it was totally random. Like I had a duffel bag full of bicycling equipment, clothing, shoes, everything, helmets, two helmets, all kinds of stuff. It would have saved me $500 when I came out of prison if that bag had been saved, but that didn't make it. But some things made it that like don't make it. And I'm not mad. That's not me. That's not me complaining about it. It's just, I'm telling you what happened. But I lost everything, lost my career, lost my home, lost my kids. I still live 2,000 miles away from my kids, went to prison for 2 fucking years and then have to serve 3 years of probation and having a criminal rap sheet that looks so bad that I can't even get a job at fucking McDonald's now. And so I'm going to have to cry or feel bad that a Democrat who ran their mouth on social media lost their job. There's the world's tiniest violin playing a sad song for you. I don't really care. I'm like, good for you. Good for you. Losing your job, at least you can go look for a new job. And when they do a criminal background check, they're not going to find that you have a criminal record. So, the 3-day news cycle, you're after about a week of you getting fired from your job for running your mouth, you can go get a new job and you'll probably find one. Me, I'll never get a job again. I've come to that conclusion. They'll not, like, even the places that say we hire felons won't hire me because I'm the worst felon that ever lived, according to them. They'll hire a fucking ex-murderer who did 30 years in the joint before they'll hire me. It's true. I've been to places that won't hire me that I know for a fact hired people that were in prison for murder for 30 years. They could get a job there. They won't hire me. And they'll say some shit, well, that murder happened 30 years ago. Yeah, but they just got out of jail last week. They're like, well, people tell me, well, 7 years from now, you should be able to get a job. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do for 7 years? When I'm 57 years old, I can get a job again? Doing what? Being a fucking Walmart greeter? I mean, I'll definitely have killed myself by then, but I'm too stubborn to do that. So that's never going to happen. So if I do disappear and there's 2 holes in the back of my head and they try to tell you I killed myself, don't believe them. Because, I mean, at this point, I'm just going to say whatever I want. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Yep. I mean, that's where it's at. I couldn't even get that job because Costco would do a background check. Any corporate job, like fucking McDonald's is doing back. It costs like $20 to do a background check on somebody now. So it's nothing. It's just part of the hiring process. And BlackRock owns every company in America now. And these corporate owners that own everything have the policy in place that says you have to drug test your employees. You have to do a criminal background check. So there's no leeway for a business owner or a company to make their own decisions there. It's all coming from above. and they all have to. So the only place I can go work is a business that's an independently owned business. I don't know how I got a job at this bakery, to be honest. I think that was a diversity hire because I'm around a bunch of girls and they're like, oh, look at this. We got a guy who's coming in. He can lift all the heavy bags and stuff. When the delivery truck comes in, boom, hire him. That way we can say we're diverse. We have one or two guys that work here. I think right now, no, there's two guys right now. I think there's two male employees here at the bakery. Of course, I mean, it's a bakery. But I don't care. But I've applied for tons of jobs since I moved out to this area where I live now, and nobody will give me the time of day. And I'm okay with that because every time I go into a store in this neighborhood here, I'm kind of like, A, I don't speak Spanish, and B, I feel like I just set foot in Compton whenever I walk into a store here. The neighborhoods are nice here where I live right now. The houses are nice. It looks like you're in like a nice area. The nice houses, clean streets, everything looks nice, like a tidy little, not a rich suburb, but like a nice suburb where I live. Till you walk into any store or any establishment and you're like, holy shit, where am I? The ghetto? It's bad. It's bad. Like you go to Target, there will be 3 cashiers at Target with nobody in line. And then there's a line for the self-checkout register with a 45-minute wait going all the way around the store. People waiting in line to check out their own stuff. There's only one reason. That happens. And it's not because, there's only one reason that you're going to be willing to wait in line for 45 minutes to check out your own groceries when there's 3 cashiers with an open aisle and nobody waiting in line to go through that line. You can always start your own bakery. Nobody cares who owns the place. Just don't try and sell $4 cookies in the hood. There was a time before I was arrested that me and the other were talking about opening a bakery. I don't need to talk about that any more than that. Would have made a fortune. Would have made a fortune off of that. I signed a non-compete agreement to work at this place because non-compete agreements used to be, let's say you're partners in an advertising agency. This is my world. You might sign a non-compete agreement with each other so that one partner doesn't leave the ad agency and take all of his clients with him and leave the agency broke. Or, it might be like a law firm of 5 different attorneys, all with their name on the door. Shrikart, Goldstein, Douchebag, and McClatchy or whatever, like some law firm. And as a partnership agreement, you might say, okay, I will not just leave the law firm and take all my clients with me. That's what a non-compete agreement is. But that shit has evolved over time because of these scumbag lawyers. Now, when you go work at fucking McDonald's, they make you sign a non-compete agreement that says, well, if shit doesn't work out here at McDonald's, you can't go work at Burger King or Wendy's. And I don't know how many years I agreed to because I don't give a shit and I don't want to work at a bakery again. So I didn't really care. I just needed a job. It was enough. And there's stipulations about distance and whatnot. As long as I'm more than 10 miles away from any of their locations, I would be fine. It's not like I skimmed through it, but there was nothing in there that I gave a shit about when I signed it. And I will fight back against contracts I don't like. I've done that. I have been handed non-compete agreements in my field, in my professional work, and I've handed them back and said, no, I won't sign this, and still got the job because I'll turn around and tell a company, I'm like, if things don't work out, I'm not going to be broke, unemployed, and homeless, unable to go get a job in my line of work because you made me sign this thing saying I'm not allowed to have another job again if things don't work out with you. I'm like, so if that's going to stop us from working together, then I'll go work somewhere else. The only thing I would sign is like a non-disclosure agreement where I agree not to give away the company info, or a non-solicitation agreement where I won't leave the company and go after their clients. That's different than a non-compete agreement. A non-compete agreement is when you say, you basically, I mean, they're doing it at McDonald's now. You sign a thing at McDonald's that says if shit don't work out, you can't go work at Burger King or Wendy's and we'll sue you. And they do it. My best friend here in Houston, he worked for Red Robin. Granted, he was a manager. He was a general manager of a Red Robin restaurant. He got a better job offer to go work at TGI Fridays. So he left. He went to TGI Fridays. Someone found out that he was working at Fridays, told Red Robin, and Red Robin sued him. And in court, the judge agreed to it. And all of a sudden, my friend had a judgment of $170,000 against him. He was making like 45 grand a year or 50 grand a year. The judge ruled against him. That's basically one notch above quitting McDonald's to go work at Burger King, but they'll do that shit. And so, I don't know. I mean, that's part of but if, let's just say, getting back to the original point. Yeah, so basically what happened to my friend is as soon as the judgment was in place, his lawyer turned around and filed for bankruptcy. So he walked away from the judgment and all of his personal debt. And his personal debt wasn't in arrears. He wasn't like in a bad place, but he had about $25,000, $30,000 in personal debt. And so he had to file for bankruptcy because of the judgment. And he walked away from all of it, his personal debt and the judgment. So he basically spent $2,000 on a lawyer and walked away saving $30,000, $40,000 in life. And he walked away from all it. And he said as soon as he got home from the bankruptcy, credit card offers and mortgage deals and car loan offers were filling his mailbox all of a sudden. He said he couldn't get a fucking loan to save his life. All of a sudden, the bankruptcy goes through and banks are just banging on his door trying to give him credit all day long. He said filing for bankruptcy was the best thing that ever happened to his credit and his ability to get financing and go out and buy cars and a house and everything else under the sun. Because it's basically it's like dumping a fresh bucket of chum in the ocean to attract all the sharks. That's basically what a bankruptcy filing does. It's like they dump the bucket of chum in the water, like fresh bankruptcy, and all the sharks are like, ah, and they all show up at once trying to gobble it up. And yeah, it's crazy. Crazy, Red Robin. So I wouldn't even eat at Red Robin after that in solidarity. But then he told me after the bankruptcy was done, he would just go to Red Robin and have dinner, and he'd bring all his friends and they'd sit there eating the unlimited French fries for 2 or 3 hours. So, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, the non-compete. So my knowledge of what it would take to open a bakery before I was arrested, combined with things that I know now, I would absolutely kill it. I could open a bakery that would put the slam dunk on some shit in town, especially in a town like Jamestown, New York, like a smaller place. Now that's not cheap to open up a storefront. I mean, you're $100,000, $200,000 easily. to open up a bakery, I would need access to some money to do that. And even if it started out super popular out the gate, because I can do the marketing for that. I could make it popular. But I know certain things that would put the slam dunk on anybody. I could take down bakeries that have been in business for decades and just bam, knock them out. Or at least compete on the same level. But I don't know if I want to do that. Because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of sleepless nights. And that's a lot of risk. And that's going to take a long time to recover your initial investment. It's a volatile business. I mean, it can take off though. Something like that can take off and be a wild ride. And you can get to the point where you just sit back and watch it grow and just, tell people what to do. But I don't have access to that kind of money. I'm a thousandaire. I became a thousandaire for the first time in a year or 2 years, and I just bought a car, and I'm still a thousandaire, but that's not for long. Not for long. I got to figure out how to bring some more money in. I slacked off for the month of September because the car search consumed me. I got to take a couple of days. My apartment, this place, whatever you want to call it, is in borderline squalor right now. It's so bad. I've been neglecting basic chores, and today's not going to be a day I do anything about it. I just ordered a bed today. Before I started the live stream, I ordered my curtain rods, curtains, a bed frame, and a bed. New bed's going to be here tomorrow. Curtains will be here tomorrow. Curtain rods will be here Thursday, and the bed frame will be here Thursday. I'm going to open up that bed and throw it on the floor. Just sleep on that mattress tomorrow. Throw a couple blankets on it, or I don't even have sheets. Just go throw a couple of blankets on it and crash out on a bed. And then Thursday, I'll get the bed frame, figure that all out. And in the meantime, tomorrow and Thursday, I'm just going to clean this place top to bottom. And then I'm going to work on detailing the car. Just it's already good and clean. But I'm going to try and take it up a notch. I'm just going to treat it I don't know. You treat it you treat something like that good, it'll treat you good. I don't like driving a dirty car. Even when I had a Jeep, if it came home covered in mud, I might let it roll for a bit. But eventually I'm going to get out the tire shine and the plastic shine, and I'm going to try and make it look new again at some point. But I'm not afraid to get it dirty. But a car like this this isn't the kind of car you want to drive around dirty. This is a nice car. It's supposed to be clean. So, I'm trying to keep mine vacuumed each time I go to the store, as it's right next door. The car, I drove it one day. I drove it yesterday. That was my first experience there. JS says he waxes once a month. I wax once, in Pittsburgh and in that area, I would wax in the spring, and then I would just maintain it all winter long, because you got salt and everything. Anytime that I would drive in salty conditions, I would go straight to the car wash and make sure that the car wash had an underspray to get all the underneath stuff. And so I never let salt sit on my cars for more than a day. If it's so, basically the way I would do it is during the winter, because I'm not going outside and doing stuff in the winter. So I'm just maintaining everything. Um, what I'll do is I'll drive when the roads are crappy, covered in salt and everything else, and then I'll wait until the snow melts and that there's been enough time for the salt to get washed off the road a little bit and the roads are dry. And once the roads are dry, I'll go to the car wash and get the under. And mostly I'm just focused on the underneath. Just find a good car wash that has a good under car wash, and I'll just drive like super super slow across it and just get the whole underside of the car washed off as best as possible, and then get the car washed, drive home. I mean, half the time you do that, the next day it's back to crappy weather and rain and snow and everything else. But I find that my cars wouldn't rust out when I would do that on the regular. Just whenever there's a salt, whenever you're in a salt situation, get that salt off your car as fast as possible. Don't let it sit. Otherwise, you're good. Like, as long as there's no salt, and I just get through the winter as best I can. And then as soon as it starts being warm outside, and I know that we're going to have like a week of 75-degree weather, I'll get out and detail the car top to bottom, clean everything, shine everything, all that. The other thing that you should do that I never did but should have, especially on a couple of vehicles I own, was get the undercoating done. Like every time, like September-ish, get the car undercoated. They'll go through and they'll spray up in places and get in every little nook and cranny. I've had mechanics tell me I only have to undercoat the car once if you go to the fluid film they use. If you get somebody who's good at that, fluid film the whole underside of the car and do that. And I would just like, that would be something for me, I would think, do once a year, September, October, before the salt weather comes. I think my Jeep would have been in better shape underneath if I had done that on the regular, but it wasn't rusted out either. It was just, it looked like a vehicle that was 15 years old or whatever. But I would have my mechanic check it out, and he never had any cause for alarm or like, he was like, no, your vehicle's fine. There's no corrosion. There's nothing to worry about. But this is Northeast United States, winter drivers. Down here in Houston, the cars are in better shape underneath. So Jared says that's what I do as well. We don't have as many winter storms in Tennessee, but you do have some. I think, didn't you say you live somewhere in eastern Tennessee, like near, I don't know, Cookeville, Monterey was the area I was going to buy land in, a little bit east of Monterey. About half an hour east of Monterey is where I was looking at land. Sunbright, I think, is the name of the exact area. And there was another town out there. Yeah, I knew someone who had a nice Camaro who lived near the beach. The paint looked like it was 15 years old. Clear coat failed, and it was like a 3-year-old car. That salt is bad. Yeah, living near the ocean will do it too. Like, I would like to live down near Galveston. If I'm going to be like some broke ass loser who can only work minimum wage jobs, I may as well go do it on the beach. You know what I mean? Like, may as well get out of the affluent suburbs and go live on the beach and be a beach bum. At least I can be a beach bum. A beach bum beats the crap out of a woodlands bum. So that would be, now that I got a car, I can look into maybe doing that. I've got, well, I'm on like month, June, July, August, September. I'm on like 4 months of it. I've got 8 more months left on this lease. And I could probably get out of this lease without getting burned because the landlord is cool like that. I bet if I gave him notice, he would be all right with me skipping out early on the lease with enough notice. So if I could If I could get out there and maybe, I don't know, it's on my mind. But I know that living near the ocean, salt, 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 it's going to be something. Um, I used to take my Jeep beach driving. I'd go camping on a beach in North Carolina for a week at a time and other places on the beach. And you got to get the car wash as soon as you get away from the beach and get that salt off. That I think that honestly, that can even be worse than, New York winter or Pittsburgh winter with all the salt on the roads, because that's only 3 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year that you're getting salt. Whereas you live on the beach, it's nonstop. It's never stopping. So, um, Bradley said, back the truck up. You're already talking about moving out. Yikes. I never moved into this place. Would you want to live in a 1 bedroom, tiny little hole forever? It's a way better experience being here than where I was before. But I have a lot more leverage now, because after a year is up on my lease, it goes month to month. And so I can take my time and look for something different. I have a vehicle now, I can get around. I can, like the opportunities are a lot better now than they were. I can go to Galveston for a day and go explore and check out some stuff. And if that's, find out, do I really want to try moving there? Go be a beach bum. There's a bicycle shop in Galveston that was looking for. There was a bike shop in Galveston that was looking for a mechanic a while back, and all they sell is like beach cruisers and beach bikes. Now that's got to be the easiest bike mechanic job in the history of bicycle mechanics. I don't even think they sell bikes with gears. That would be all right to go do that part time. I did go to a bicycle shop yesterday. I was talking about that for a minute as like my little victory drive after I got the license plates put on. And I went to the bike shop to look at a trunk mount bike rack for the new car. And I didn't buy anything. I just wanted to see what they were selling them for and what they had. I could probably save $10 by going on Amazon to get it, but I like this bike shop. But I've been wanting a new bike helmet for a while. Oh man, I'm not even going to go back to that pile of trash, because I've been wanting a new bike helmet, because the helmet that I wear, I got the cheapest helmet they sold. And it fits me. It's the right size, but like side to side, the helmet's a little loose. And it's kind of not, it's not my favorite helmet that I've ever owned, but it keeps me alive. It does the job. I don't hate it, but I never liked it from the day I bought it. I just bought it because it was like $50. Well, they had some Giro helmets there, and I like that brand. That's the same brand of shoes that I wear. And they had this one helmet. It matches my bike. It's red and black. It's a beautiful looking helmet. And it fit me perfect. Side to side, front and back. It was like an exact fit to my head. And I was like, ooh. And I got a pair of gloves. So I bought a helmet and a pair of gloves at the bike shop. Because those are things that I would much rather buy shorts, gloves, helmets, shoes at a bicycle shop than Amazon. Now I can go to the bike shop now now I can just go there. It's freaking awesome. And so that's true and not true, JS. Depends on how much damage you do. But the bike shop is the best bike shop in Houston. It's a cool place. I love this bike shop. I don't go there a lot because it's hard to get to on a bicycle, ironically, because it's right on Route 45. And so it's kind of a pain in the ass to get there on a bicycle. But I've been asking them every time I go in there, hey, if you're looking for a mechanic, give me a call. Well, he recognizes me, even if it's like 6 months between visits. Every time I walk in the door, the owner, he's like the manager, the head guy of the bike shop. He's like, hey, what's up? And he recognizes me. And I've only been in there a few times. But he's always really friendly with me. I don't know anything about, but I always ask, hey, if you guys are looking for someone to come in part-time and wrench on bikes, build bikes, repairs, whatever, holla, and so we talked about that yesterday. And I was like, I like going to that shop. They're great people. But it's hard to get a job at a bike shop because it's a place a lot of people want to work. The bike shops usually don't have problems finding people who want to come work for them. If they have any problems, it's finding people with good experience. But I have the good experience. So it's kind of like that. I'm just like, I keep throwing it out there. And so I didn't want to go in there without, throwing it out there that I'm interested in, some sort of part-time bike mechanic job. And so maybe something will come of that someday. I don't know. But I am going to go camping. Probably I'm going to wait a few weeks with this new car. I don't really feel like going on a super long drive until I know I can trust the car. And, a few weeks, no issues. Okay, fine. I'll go camping on Galveston Island. That's kind of one reason I was hoping to get something cooler than a sedan, because this isn't the kind of car I'm going to take back in the woods to go camping somewhere. I'm going to have to find a place to park that's suitable for a car like that. But to go down to Galveston Island and park in a parking lot and camp right there next to the beach, that'll be fine for that. But I will have to take a bicycle rack. I'm not putting my bike in the trunk. I mean, the trunk on this car is big enough for at least two it's like a low rent gangster sedan. So there's enough room in the trunk for at least two bodies. But anything beyond that, you'd have to fold down the back seats, which do fold down, which is a nice feature. That's a nice thing to have. But it's just not the kind of car you're ever going to, it's so low to the ground. I wouldn't, taking it on a dirt road would suck. But that's why I really was like that Subaru that didn't go through, that I had, that the guy bailed on at the last minute and sold to somebody else. That would have been a fun car for me, because that would have been like kind of a cross between having a car and having a Jeep. But I just trust that God had a reason for not letting that happen. And I feel like the deal, for anybody who wasn't here at the beginning of the video, when all was said and done, I bought this car, a 2012 Passat, for, who's this guy, Bradley? Is this the one that comes up with who's got 50 different YouTube accounts to just show up with a different YouTube account every day? Anyway, I got a 2012 Passat. It's got about 150,000 miles on it. It's in good shape. It's well taken care of. It's in immaculate condition for the age. No blemishes, no dents, no dings, nothing. It's clean. Runs good. The guy wanted $4,600 for it, and I got it for $3,800 cash. And then when I went to the tax office to get the license plates and the registration done, I told them that I paid $1,000 for it, and they charged me for the license plates, registration, and sales tax. It was $130. So $39.40, $3,940. I got a car, plates, registration, all the paperwork done. Boom. So I didn't even spend $4,000. And Robot Nielsen had a. So yeah, okay, that is the guy. Or what do you? I'm with like two accounts. I had a Chrysler 300, had a wheel fall off. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know if a Chrysler. None of these cars. None of those. That's not my style to ride around in a car like that. But I'm not worried about my style right now. I just wanted a good deal on a car. So at the end of the day, I was looking at everything under the sun. You could not. The amount of different vehicles that I bookmarked were so night and day different from one to the next that I just didn't care. I just wanted to find the best deal I could find on a vehicle. So Chrysler 300, the funniest thing about that is anytime I see somebody driving around in a Chrysler 200, I'm always like, why would you even buy that? Like they should have come up with a different name for that, because if you're driving around in a Chrysler 200, you're basically driving around with a big sign that says, I'm too poor to drive a Chrysler 300. Like I don't even, like, why wouldn't they just come up with a different name for that car? Why would you drive a Chrysler 200 and have a big sign that says, well, if I wasn't broke, I'd drive a Chrysler 300, but instead I got the Chrysler 200 because I'm poor. And you don't even have to be rich to drive a Chrysler 300. So, I mean, I would never drive. I can't say never. I can't say never because I can't say never because because if a Chrysler 200 for the right price and the right, if it fell into my lap, like this Passat, I was never looking for a Volkswagen Passat. I was thinking about a couple of Jettas, but it's not even. Honestly, the sportier Jettas are cool, but the sedans and the where they start to cross into like the luxury sedan, I don't like those as much. But this car is cool. I mean, this car is cool. I've driven a lot of Volkswagens in my day. I don't hate them. In fact, I mean, I would rather have a Japanese car, a Toyota, maybe Nissan, other Japanese brands. My brand, the brand Honda, Toyota, Honda, maybe a Nissan. That's what I'm going for first. I like German cars too. I think German cars are fairly well built. They're just more expensive to maintain, but they're nice. American cars, forget it. I don't want a GM, Ford, or any of that. Chrysler, the only Chrysler I want a Jeep Wrangler is the only American car I would own at this point in my life. Toyota, Honda, like Japanese brands would be my first choice. German would be my second choice, unless it's a Jeep. And an old style Jeep Cherokee or a Wrangler, I would be fine with any Wrangler. Any other American car, forget it. They're junk. I don't want it. I don't want a GM. They're junk. I mean, a Corvette, obviously you can make an exception for every car brand. I would not be ashamed to drive around in a Corvette, especially the newer ones. I would not be ashamed to drive around in a Ford F-150, whatever style you get. A Raptor would be fun as hell. They're pretty badass. I mean, every car company can make a good car. But like generally speaking, if just like I was looking for a pickup truck back in the day when I bought my Nissan. I wouldn't even entertain an American brand, but I did go and look at a used Ford. It was a FX4 Ford Ranger. I wanted a compact pickup. I didn't want a full size. and the Ford Ranger had a camper shell on it already, and it was a nice one. And I made an offer on it, and we were about to get to the finish line, and I had to back out of it because the dealership was starting to be shady. And I ended up with a much better vehicle in the end. The Nissan Frontier that I bought blew that Ford out of the water. It was so nice. But Robot Nielsen says, I blame the unions. We make good cars in this country, but they are all non-union. I just think, yeah, the car companies are crap. They're cheap. The thing about the Jeep Liberty that I owned, you don't see a lot of Liberties out there on the road now, do you? And that was like, you know, the mid 2000s. I had a 2006 Liberty. You don't see them anymore. Why is that? You see Wranglers going all the way back through time, but you don't see Liberties. And the reason why is because Chrysler would say, some freaking bean counter would say, well, we can make that part out of plastic instead of metal, and we'll save a nickel. And it's like, yeah, you fucking dick. And so, like, what happened one day on I had a manual, what do you call it? An analog 4-wheel drive switch where you pull up the handle and it goes in your transfer cases controlled by, it's not a push button or a knob. It's a physical cable with a lever to switch into 4-wheel drive. I go to get into 4-wheel drive one day, pop, and turns out it's a little washer made out of plastic, cost about $400 to fix. Why? Because the little plastic washer is made out of plastic, and it costs about 49 cents. And it takes I had to take it to a transmission shop because my regular mechanic wouldn't even do it. He's like, fuck that. I'm not taking that whole thing apart to get to that. Took I had to pay somebody $400 in labor to fix this plastic piece. If that shit was made out of metal, would have never broke. And the Jeep Liberties are full of plastic bullshit. The entire freaking thing is made out of plastic. It sucks. The window regulators. You'll be driving around in a Jeep Liberty, and your back window, you'll be driving along, all of a sudden the back window will just go thunk down into the wall, down into the door for no reason. Happened to me 4 fucking times. It finally got to the point where I would just put the back window up with duct tape because I was sick and tired of it. Didn't care anymore. I hated the thing. I hated the vehicle was capable. It was a capable off-road vehicle. They're not junk in that regard. But they're made out of plastic. And there was a guy who made an aftermarket replacement window regulator out of steel or aluminum that you would never have to replace again. But to do it was $100 per door. So for $400, I could replace them all myself. And it was a pretty straight, it's like an hour or two for me to do it once. For the rest of the time I owned the vehicle. But I already decided that I hated the vehicle and I wanted to get rid of it. So I was just like driving it till the wheels fell off. I was talking earlier in Dodge Caravan. It's probably the same damn part. So when I bought my Wrangler, I traded in the Liberty for a Wrangler. When I bought my Wrangler, I was like, base model only. I want hand crank windows, manual locks, all the parts that would break on the Liberty. I wanted to make sure the Wrangler didn't have, because I'm like, Chrysler don't know how to make a fucking window. The hand crank window's been around since like 1902. If they can't figure that out, then they shouldn't be making cars anymore. So that's why my Wrangler was basically like New World Order ready. You weren't going to get locked out of your car because the electronic lock didn't work, or, you weren't, the thing was bomb proof. And it was. I never had a problem with my Wrangler the whole time I owned it. Nothing beyond like normal wear and tear. I honestly can't think of anything that ever went wrong with the actual vehicle other than normal wear and tear stuff. Nothing. I cannot think of a single thing I ever had to replace. A belt. Like a belt. I owned it from 2016 to 2022. how squirrels chewed through an ignition wire. So I was having an engine misfire and had to drive back to civilization because I didn't want to walk 20 miles with my 10-year-old son. So I limped that thing all the way home, and then I limped it to the garage, and they fixed the wire, and there was nothing wrong with the engine, even though I was driving it with one cylinder off. So it was a pretty badass. Now the transmission sucked. It was an automatic. I would never buy a Wrangler with an automatic transmission ever. Only stick shift. So yeah, the Liberty was an automatic. I hated it. It shifted horribly. You put the gas pedal to the floor and it wouldn't downshift. It would just hold like third, fourth. I don't know if it was a 3 or 4 speed. I can't remember, but you'd be going up a hill and you'd push the gas down to the floor and it wouldn't drop into the lower gear to go up the hill. And you'd have to fight with it to get it to shift right. And then people are like, oh, that's just how they are. And like you can go and get it like custom tuned to shift better. But I'm like, why the fuck do I have to go and get it tuned to shift right? It should just be like that out the gate. The Nissan was an automatic. My pickup truck, that thing was so awesome. I really wanted a stick shift when I bought my pickup truck, but this Nissan was just too good it was too good to pass. But when I started driving it, I'm like, this truck is awesome. The way it shifted, the way it drove. That freaking Nissan, without the weight on it that I put on it when it was a bare bones truck, could smoke my Mini Cooper in a drag race. No problem. That truck was fast. But then I put a camper shell, drawers, 6-foot long drawers, camping gear. I loaded up that truck with so much weight I could feel the difference after it was all done. But it was just a cruising truck. I really didn't buy it. I just bought it to go on long road trips and have like a mobile camper. Yeah, JS, they don't build vehicles like they used to. You're basically driving a computer with wheels. That's the reason. That's like the Volkswagen Passat that I'm driving right now. Even though it's a 2012, it's all computers. Whereas the Corolla that was side by side, the Corolla was a 2000. Let me look. I still have that bookmarked. It was a 2006 Corolla with 167,000 miles on it for, let's say it was 4,300. I could have got it down to 3,500 probably clean. Somebody on the live stream sent it to me, and I actually was going to go meet the guy, but I scheduled the meetup for the VW first because I was looking for a reason to say no to the Volkswagen. And I couldn't because the Volkswagen was in such good shape and the cool factor got me. Like, it's a way cooler car than the Corolla. And I just kept saying, I'm like, the flashy cool car with all the computers and the German stuff, or the Corolla, the humble Toyota that you don't even have to put oil in the engine and it'll still go 100,000 miles. Which one? And I went for the Volkswagen only because it was in such nice shape. But the Volkswagen could cause me issues where you have to go to someone with a special computer to, like, can I change the light bulb without having to use a freaking computer? I don't know. Like, I might not like this car after a certain amount of time, but I'm cool with the fact that I have a car right now. And I feel like, I kept asking God to make sure that I don't make sure I don't make a dumb decision on my car purchase. And I feel like he guided me. He took away the Subaru that I was going to buy 5 minutes before the guy was supposed to bring it to my house. So I was pissed, but I figured it happened for a reason. And so I'm cool with my choice. But I am gonna, I didn't even go look at the Corolla because when the guy said he would take 3,800 for the car without haggling too much, and it was in good shape, and it was a 2012, and it had 20, it's so 6 years newer, $20,000 or 20,000 miles less mileage. I figured it was a better deal. Even if Volkswagen hands me problems that, that a Toyota Corolla won't. The Corolla, I mean, I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, Robot Nielsen says Subarus and I don't get along anyway. It was a Subaru Forester that was lifted, had big oversized tires on it. It was all off-roaded and kitted out. And it had so many modifications and add-ons and stuff. It was a monster Subaru. It was nice. I drove it. I drove it on the highway. I put it through. I mean, I drove it for over half an hour on a test drive. And then I haggled the guy down. The base car had 300,000 miles on it, which tells you something. It had a much newer engine, and most of the car was redone, like everything under the car. Somebody bought this car at the end of its life and rebuilt it into a fun car, and it was in very nice shape. I mean, I spent a lot of time looking that car over, looking for a reason not to get it, and I couldn't find one. It was nice. Blue Sky says you can always resell it in a few months without losing money. I got it for 3,800. I could sell it 6 months from now for $4,000 probably. I could probably get paid $2,000 to drive a car. So I feel like I did all right. There was no way I was going to get a deal that good at a dealership. No way. And this car, I could tell, was well maintained. It may not be perfect, as I found a handful of things, but I know we've got enough people in the chat now and in the video. I would have stopped. Been going for 2.5 hours. I would have stopped, but people keep showing up. So I'm like, why not? I'm not doing anything else today. The only thing I'm thinking about doing is taking my little portable air compressor out bloop, 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 on the tires, because I feel like one of them might be a little low, and going for a drive for no reason. Just I gotta maybe go to Whataburger and get a cheeseburger or something. I tried Whataburger the other day. Oh my God. I've never been to Whataburger, and I was telling people at work, and they're like, "What? You never been to Whataburger? How can you be in Texas this long and never go to Whataburger?" I'm like, I don't know. It's just a fast food joint. I don't like any of them. They're like, no, you got to check out Whataburger. So yesterday I tried out Whataburger, and they told me to get the patty melt, and I was like, yo, this was a good burger. Right there, Bradley said the patty melt. Exactly. That's what I was told. And I had the patty melt, and I'm like, oh my God, I could eat like 5 of these things right now. I'm so freaking hungry. Not that I would, but now I'm like, my dishes are dirty. My place is like borderline squalor right now because I've been so tired. And this car search and everything else, it took the energy out of me. And so, yeah, I tried Whataburger yesterday on a whim, because that's where I was at. I didn't want to go any place like nice. I was like, fast food is where I'm at. Whataburger at a higher, I would rather go to Whataburger than Five Guys. There's a Five Guys where I work, and now Five Guys burgers in Pittsburgh are freaking delicious. The one down here where I work is not that good. There's something off. I don't know what it is, but they don't taste as good as they do back in Pittsburgh. Now, Five Guys burgers started in Washington, D.C., and now they're all over the country. But the one where I work is just, it's not the same. And they're expensive. So, yeah, definitely, Jared. Get the regular patty melt or get the patty melt. I'm gonna sound like a fat piece of shit, but I got a patty melt and a regular burger because I wanted to try them both, and I was hungry. I didn't eat all day, so I'm eating two burgers. The regular burger was eh. The patty melt was on fire. The patty melt was the bomb. I would never order anything else from there at this point forward. Um, go get yourself a patty melt. You'll thank me tomorrow. Well, unless it becomes an addiction and you gain 50 pounds and you'll be cursing me. But yeah, Five Guys are expensive and everything's gotten worse now since Bidenomics. Um, but back in Pittsburgh, there's Five Guys all over the place, and they were always really, really good. Not the one next to where I work is not that great. I've been there a couple of times, and I was like, I think the bacon's too crispy. I don't know, something about it's just not as good as back home. But that Whataburger patty melt, there's a Whataburger next to where I work too. I'm done. Five Guys is out. Patty melt. If I need to go get a cheeseburger, I know where I'm going. Like, I'm not going to Five Guys, and it's cheaper. The patty melt wasn't that expensive. Not like Five Guys. Like, now I went to freaking Chipotle the other day when I went to the bank, because I went to the bank to get out cash because I was buying a car, and then the deal fell through. But I was sitting at Chipotle. It was like $25 for a freaking burrito and some chips and a drink. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, it used to be able to go to lunch. I used to be able to go to Chipotle for lunch. It would be like $8. Now it's $25 to go to Chipotle. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I've been eating at home most of the time, and I'm probably gonna go grab a bite tonight because why not? I got a car. I want to go play with it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do any chores. I don't want to dirty another dish. I'm trying to think of a reason to go drive somewhere. Like, do I have to go get something or do something, like make it at least a reason to go out? But I already checked. There's a Whataburger close to me, like 5-minute drive. There's another location of the bakery that I work at right next door to it. I don't know though. Now that I've got a car, I don't want to chance working at a different location of this bakery and find out that I don't like my coworkers. You know what I mean? Like, that everybody, like, I don't want to go change to another location and then everybody's got a bad attitude and it's not a fun place to work. I think I've got it good where I am right now, and the fact that I can drive there now, I'm cool. Yeah, no more ordering. Grocery delivery doesn't cost that much. I get the free delivery. I pay $15 a month for the Walmart Plus, but they've screwed up my groceries twice in a 3-week one time they delivered it 2 houses away and left all the bags at the end of the driveway and just drove off. And the only reason I knew was because they take a picture of it, and I was like, I recognize that. And so I had to walk over and get all my groceries. Then I complained to them, and I got all my groceries for free. And then I did it again. And they screwed up again. And so I'm done. I got the car, no more online groceries. I don't mind. I like going to the grocery store myself. I like shopping for my own groceries, but it was convenient to get some deliveries. It did work out. Maybe I don't see myself. I'm canceling the Walmart subscription. I don't even want to go there again. I don't have to ever go there again. Thank God. In fact, there's HEB is the big Houston grocery store. And there's like, you know what they say, living on the wrong side of the tracks. Well, there's a creek here called Spring Creek. And there's an HEB there. Okay. everywhere I've been in Houston, you cannot be more than 3 miles away from an HEB grocery store. They're literally every third. They're spaced no more than 5 miles apart from each other. Everywhere you go, I don't know how I don't know how they can have. Wegmans doesn't even do that in Rochester, New York, Western New York. But HEB, you cannot be. You can be at an HEB, and there will be 3 more within a 5-mile radius of where you are. So there's an HEB down the street from me. It's farther than the Walmart, so it's not walkable. But a couple of times I've gone there, and one time I went right in the store and turned around, walked right back out. I saw like 20 people with their, I saw 20 dudes walking around with their pants pulled down to their knees and their underwear hanging out. And there was a big sign above the self-checkout line that said a maximum of 5 items. And I'm like, yep, I'm out. I go to the other side of Spring Creek to the other HEB, which is close to my bank. And I go in that HEB, and it's a whole different, it's like you set foot on another planet. Nice. It's like, so I know which side of Spring Creek I'm supposed to live on if I want to stay in this neighborhood, because the neighborhood I live in is nice. I've said this many times on the channel tonight. It's a nice neighborhood. You drive around where I live right here and you think you're in a nice suburban neighborhood. It's not like upscale. There are upscale parts. And believe me, there's a freaking castle 2 houses down from me with like a turret, like a straight up castle. And there's like another house that's like a haunted house, like 2 houses down. It's this big giant. It looks straight out of an episode of Scooby-Doo. And there's always a truck parked at. I'm like, how can there even be people living in that thing? But then there's a truck parked in the driveway and it moves around. And so I'm like, what is going on here? I don't even know. Huge houses are right next to me. And thank you, Robot Nielsen, for the super chat. That makes a big difference. That'll help add up to the total, the channel total. What is that? Be the first one to reply to your super chat, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm just going to reply talking. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. And but it's a nice neighborhood. Everywhere I go, it looks like a nice neighborhood until you walk into any store or restaurant or anything here. Now, there's a place called Old Town Spring, which is actually, it's like this little neighborhood full of all these little unique shops and restaurants. That little neighborhood's cool. That little neighborhood's cool as hell. I'm going to have to explore that a little bit. I might even be able to find a job there doing something part-time or whatever. Maybe find a more laid-back gig there than, the bakery. But I don't know. All I'm saying is you go any store you go into, like I said, the Target I used to go grocery shopping at, there would be 3 empty lines with a cashier and a people with shopping carts going all the way around the store waiting 45 minutes to use the self-checkout line. Does it take a rocket scientist to understand why people in that store would be willing to wait 40 to 45 minutes to use the self-checkout register, even though there's 3 cashiers that'll ring up your groceries for you with nobody waiting in line? I wonder why those people are willing to wait so long for the self-checkout. Anyway, probably the same reason that the HEB in the same neighborhood has a big sign above the self-checkout line that says a maximum of 5 items allowed. And that's the HEB where when I was walking into the store one day, I saw a group of dudes with their pants pulled down to their knees and their underwear hanging out, turned around and left because I'm like, I'm not going back to fucking prison. I already spent 2 years looking at that dumb shit. I'm not going grocery shopping at federal prison. Like I'm going to get my fucking commissary today. Nope. I turned around. I went home. I wouldn't even go past the registers in the front of the store. I've never been further than that back in that store. Found another HEB on the other side of the river. Night and day difference. Beautiful store. I didn't see any of that crazy shit in there. Chill. Nice vibe. Good. I know where I'm going grocery shopping while I live here. That's already know. Went to pick up a U-Haul. When I moved to this place, it's 3 miles from my old place. The U-Haul, I picked a U-Haul location that was really close, and it was a big one. Now, when I called to reserve my van, they told me on the phone, they're like, oh, you don't need to call. We got plenty of vans. You'll be fine. And I said, no, I think I'll make a reservation. So how does that sound? And so they made a reservation. They gave me my reservation number. On the day I picked up my moving van, when I got there in the morning, there was a line from the counter all the way around to the front door of the place. And it was a big place, like an hour-long wait to get to the counter to get my moving van. They were yelling out, the cashiers were yelling out, if you don't have a reservation, you're not getting a van today. And I'm like, oh, really? When the guy on the phone told me that I didn't need to make a reservation, we've got plenty of vans. So I had a reservation, so I'm good to go. Now, dumb people were waiting in that line for an hour. It took an hour to get through the line, but I was in no hurry to get back to my old tool shed because the landlord, the slumlord, hadn't gone to work yet, and I didn't want him to see me moving out. So I figured the longer this takes, the better for me. So I didn't care about the line. I was all right with it. But these people, the cashiers are yelling out, if you don't have a reservation, we don't have any vehicles today. People were staying in line, waiting an hour to get up to the counter so that the cashier could tell them, do you have a reservation? No. Sorry, we don't have any vehicles today. We've been yelling this out for the last hour. And then the people in line would get pissed off and start yelling at the cashier. It's like, dumbass, she's been telling you this for the last hour while you sit in line. We don't have any vehicles if you don't have a reservation. So anyway, I get to the counter and now it's my turn to get my stuff, and all that. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? And so anyway, somebody walks in the store and walks right up to the counter, skips the line. There's a line all the way to the door. Still, guy walks right up to the cashier, cuts somebody off who's dealing with the cashier and says, I got a reservation. Cashier looks up at him. She's like, yeah, sir. So does everybody else in here. You're going to have to go to the back of the line. He's like, gets all mad. So instead of going to the back of the line, he goes to the front of the line of where all these people are waiting in line for their reservations. And he stands at the front of the line, waiting because he thinks he's going to get called next. And I'm just like, please, oh God, where is this going? And you're talking like half of the people in line look like they just got out of federal prison yesterday. I'm talking like, tattoos all over their face, up and down their arms, barbed wire tattoo going around their arm, a teardrop hanging from their eye, big bag of money on their cheek, like big old fucking gang name on their neck. This is the half of the line. This is half of the fucking line. And so I'm like, oh God, what the fuck's about to happen? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Come on. Let's get it done. So the woman behind the counter is just typing away, doing my reservation, whatnot. That guy who decided to get in the front of the line, a whole all the gang members, the Crips and the Bloods got together. We're like, yo, nigga, what up? What you doing, nigga? Huh? What you gonna do, nigga? Huh? What, nigga? Nigga, what? Fuck you, nigga. Get to the back of the fucking line, you motherfucker. Yeah, nigga, what you gonna do about it? I'm a motherfucker. I'm like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of here. Please. I'm like looking at my watch. Come on. I got to get the fuck out of here before the cops come at this point. And they're like pushing each other and they're like, yeah, nigga, what's up? What you gonna do about that, you motherfucker? Huh? Huh, nigga? Huh, nigga? Yeah, nigga, what you gonna do? Huh? And I'm like, oh my God, a fucking prison fight's about to break out in fucking U-Haul. And these cashiers behind the countertop are just they're just looking up, looking back down, like, oh yeah, this happens every Saturday. Like they were not fazed by it in the least. They did not care. And I'm like, oh my God, this is every fucking Saturday here. And it's this fucking neighborhood where I live. You think you're in this nice upscale, like, not, I don't want to call it upscale. The Woodlands is upscale. The Woodlands is where all the fancy rich people live. Where I live, it's just an average, like, suburban area where you don't expect to see you don't expect to go into a fucking store and see half of the fucking people that you were in the penitentiary with walking around shopping with their pants pulled down to their fucking knees and shit. You don't expect that if you drive around my neighborhood and then you go into a store, you feel like you went through a fucking portal. Like the CERN opened up a hole, like a wormhole, like the Stargate, and you went from a nice neighborhood to the fucking ghetto by walking through a fucking portal. Because they're like, they don't match. They don't match at all. But it's like that every fucking time I go into a store here in this neighborhood. So I try to just live here without living here. And now that I've got a car, I can get anytime I got to do something, I can go across the river or go somewhere else and do what I got to do and then come home and pretend like I don't got to go to where all that bullshit is, where the U-Haul prison fight was about to break out. But they handed me the key and I got the fuck out of there, got in my van, good to go, out of here before the cops came. And I don't even think they were going to call the cops because, like, the way that the cashiers were acting, they weren't even fazed by it. Like, this must happen every fucking Saturday morning in that place. And it was crazy. And like, this is the crowd where I live. Anytime you go into a store or anything, it's nuts. And so I'm like, that's kind of why I didn't really try too hard to find a job in my neighborhood after I moved here, because I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to work any of these places. And number one, I don't speak Spanish, so I won't be able to talk to my coworkers, because all day long they're just like, yo necesita panito, and I'm like, I don't fucking know what you're talking. Like, how am I going to get along? How am I going to have coworkers that don't speak English? I'm not even going to be able to talk to the people I work with all day. They're just going to be like, oh, ¿dónde está, gringo? Ah, ha, 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 ha. Right? I'm going to have to learn Spanish just to get a fucking job in that neighborhood. And number two, I'm going to be dealing with the fucking people that I was in prison with every time I deal with a customer. I'm okay working in a bakery in the rich neighborhood where everybody's friendly and I don't have those problems. So I'm okay. That's part of the reason why I was okay riding my bicycle 25 miles each way. Because, I mean, it sucked, but I'm like, if I get a job walking distance from here, it might suck even worse. After I got to know my neighborhood. And I'm like, yeah, maybe just back off a little bit on this whole part-time job search and just see how things go. Because I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to find something around here. I did look for a bit and then I backed off and just kind of was like, we'll see what happens when I get a car. Because now I can like expand my radius of travel. Is this bakery you work for cool with baking cakes for a gay wedding? They wouldn't say no, but it's not that kind of bakery. So if I owned a bakery, I wouldn't give a fuck If they wanted me to put two dudes on the wedding cake, I'd be like, fine, have at it. You know, you be you. I don't really, I'm not going to say no to business because two gaylords want a wedding cake. It'll be the best damn wedding cake they ever had. But, you know, if they wanted to make a big scene about the gay wedding cake, like, do you know how many gay bakers there are in town that would gladly make you a gay wedding cake? Like, why don't you just go there? Why'd you have to file this lawsuit and make a big deal out of it? Like, like if I was gay and they wouldn't make me a gay wedding cake, would I even want to like just go to the other bakery? There's like 5 gay bakeries in town, I'm sure, that would be fine with, and they'd probably make you a better cake if they're gay. Has your old tiny house still on Craigslist, or have you not been paying attention? It was on Craigslist after I moved out, and I would check on it. I had it bookmarked, and then the post one day showed up as being flagged for removal. And I thought that was hysterical because you can't flag. I never put a link to the Craigslist post in my videos. So if it was people who watched this channel who did it, cool, but I didn't really like make that easy for people to figure out. But it got flagged, and you can't get an ad flagged on Craigslist because one person went and flagged it. If one person could get an ad flagged and removed, it would have been removed when I flagged it. But it takes more than me. So other people had to go and flag his ad to get it kicked off of Craigslist. And when your ad gets flagged, you can repost your ad again. You might have to change some of the wording around, but you can repost your ad again pretty easily. When I used to run my own bike shop, and I used Craigslist to tell I had a pickup and delivery bike shop that I was doing out of my house. And I've talked about this many times on this channel. When I was doing that, Craigslist flagged my ads more than once. But it was because a gang of liberal douchebags who didn't like the fact that I was taken away from the hipster bike shop in town. They didn't like me, so they got together as a group and would flag my ads. And all I would have to do is change around a couple of sentences. If you try and put the ad back up exactly as it is, they won't let you submit it. It'll just say, this is the same ad that got flagged. So change a few sentences around, repost the ad, boom, you can post it right back up. And so it would be up for a couple of days, then it would get flagged, and I'd have to change it a little bit, put it back up. Maybe it gets flagged a few days later. After a while, they stopped, and I could just leave my ad up for a few weeks. But even then, you want to delete the ad and repost it because then it refreshes it to show up higher in the search results. And so I know that his ad got flagged, but I never saw the ad again. So I have no way of knowing whether he rented out the house again or if somebody, I don't know, he could have pissed off somebody who went and looked at it. There were a couple of girls that looked at because when he was showing people the place behind my back, one time he did it right in front of me and asked me not to be inside. He's like, oh, I've got some people coming over to inspect the pipes for the hot water heater that we're putting in or whatever. And he made up some bullshit. And then this girl comes over. I'm like, that's not. So I'm watching on my fucking camera while he's showing her the place and listening. And I'm like, this fucker's showing up. He's renting out my apartment from out from under me. And so he was such a shady douchebag that I would not be surprised if when he had that place listed for rent, people came over and looked at it and said, oh my God, what a fucking dump, and flagged his ad. So I don't know. I mean, I could look right now. I got Craigslist open. If I see it, we can all flag it together. Spring tiny house. Let's see. and go to housing. So you got to go under not for sale, housing, all housing, spring tiny house. That's all. Oh, okay, hold on. Just type that in. Okay. No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm assuming he rented it out. What I was expecting would happen, this is why I was checking it out after I moved, because he was trying to rent it out for $200 a month more than what I was paying. And he was trying to shake me down for that money. And I'm like, bitch, I got a lease. Good luck. If we end up in court, and I had him 6 ways from Sunday that if he had dragged my ass into a courtroom, he would have left the courtroom owing me about $10,000 to $15,000. So I wasn't playing. I did want to do it because I'm glad I did. I'm glad that, and this motherfucker, he's on a deferred adjudication for a felony where he ripped off people 8 years ago or something like that. He started up a couple of fake companies, took a bunch of people's money and disappeared to the tune of like thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And then he got caught. And I have all the court, I had all, I mean, they're all, I have them all. I have all the court papers and you read through it and it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. So he basically got deferred adjudication instead of going to prison. And he already has multiple felonies and other charges and everything else under the sun before this. But Texas gave him deferred adjudication, which is basically probation. Instead of going to prison, you won't be found. You're not found guilty yet. You're in this like limbo state where you go on probation. You're on probation. It's the same shit I deal with. And for him, it was like 4 years. Well, he went and fucked up and he did something else and he went back to court and he got his deferred adjudication extended for another 2 years. And then he went back and he fucked up again and they extended his deferred adjudication again for like 9 years. So this motherfucker is doing 9 years of probation for that felony. And he I don't know what he did to fuck up again, but he fucked up twice. And so I'm like, the last place this motherfucker ever wants to go is a courtroom, especially for trying to scam. Like, I was told that if I could find out who his probation officer is and the fact that he's trying to scam me like this, that I might even be able to get him sent. You go back to the judge 3 times on that shit, 3rd time's a charm, you're going to prison for 7 years for the felony. Basically how deferred adjudication works is after the judge says, all right, you're fucking done, you're going to get the sentence that you would have got, that you got out of for going on probation. So he could do 8.5 years of his 9 years of probation, go back in front of the judge for something, and the judge could say, you know what, fuck you, I've given you enough chances, 7 years in prison, off you go. And you'll get the full sentence that you would have got back then, as if you didn't do any probation or nothing. That basically you're back to square one. So that could, I mean, the last place this motherfucker wants to go is a courtroom. So I knew he wasn't gonna, he acted all tough and everything when I moved out. He sent me some crazy ass text messages that if he had dragged me into court, he might have gone back to prison for that shit. The shit he was saying in the text messages to me after I moved out. And I was like, you know what? Just get away from this. I could have taken him to court to get my security deposit back. I probably could have got all 3 months rent back because he never had the hot water working. He tried to shake me down for more money in the middle of the lease. There were so many different things that he did There were so many things. I had a list of like 20 to 25 things on him documented that if he decided to take me to court, oh shit, dude, you're in trouble now. And I had a lawyer for free that would have come go to court for me because I'm poor. So yeah, he could have ended up owing me 15 grand and then going to prison for 7 more years. And I'm like, you know what? If he goes to prison for 7 years, how am I getting my money out of him? Maybe I could have ended up owning the guy's house, but I wouldn't want that fucking house. I don't think you could pay me to want that house. That house sucked. I would never. Oh my God, that road was so obnoxious. Like I wouldn't want to live in a house where I can't even hear my own TV because the traffic right outside my house is like living on a freeway. It was insane, that house. I rode my bike there, past it in the last week while I was out looking for cars. And the first thing that popped into my head as I was on that stretch of road by his house, I was like, oh my God, I don't miss this at all, because the traffic was just both ways, crazy loud. You could not get 30 seconds of quiet inside that tool shed. For the whole time I lived there, I never heard what quiet sounded like, not even for 30 seconds at a time. You could put the Bose headphones on, the noise canceling headphones, and still hear all kinds of noise. Here where I live right now is quiet. I mean, I hear, I'm not far from the road that I live on has, and it has a decent amount of traffic. And every now and then there's some loud vehicle that goes by. But it's not bad, and the traffic is slow. It's got a slow speed limit. There's a school right down the way. So the speed limit's like 25, 30 on this street anyway. It's off. There's really no reason to drive down here if you don't live here, because this is a dead-end road. So it's really not bad. I can sit here in silence. And and it's even my neighbors. There's like 4 little houses on this property. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 little houses on the same property here. And exactly, JS, you might have missed the $8,000 phone call if you were busy fighting the guy. That whole thing was crazy. I almost missed it because I almost didn't text it back, because I didn't know who it was. I was at the bank. Ironically, I was at the bank depositing a check when I got the text. And I'm like, that's Pennsylvania. And it's all the text said was, hey, is this still your phone number? And I'm like, I just sat there. I'm like, what do I do? Because I felt like I should recognize this phone number, but I didn't, and it's not in my contacts. And I'm like, I don't know about this. Like, this could be problems coming my way if I answer it. And so I texted it back and I said, "Oh, it depends on who this is." Those are the exact words. Is this still your phone number? It depends on who this is. And then when I found that, a couple texts later, I'm like, all right, I know who this is. And she sends me a photograph of this envelope, and it looked like junk mail. She's like, I don't know, Adam. Maybe something came to that house. Maybe, I don't want to, maybe she got something in the mail for me a few times, and maybe she opened the envelopes and was like, oh, wow. And then finally decided to reach out to me when the next one showed up and she didn't open. If mail goes to the wrong house, that happens. Or maybe, who knows? Who knows? But the post office didn't forward it to me, and I've had my change of address in for a long time since I lived here in Texas. So who knows? Who knows? But I almost didn't answer the text because I'm like, what is this? Is this another problem in my... So I kind of sat back And well, that unemployment insurance would have been from years ago. This would have been 2021 or 2022. So I don't even know. That's a mess that's coming my way in the future, but who knows? We'll see. Right now, whatever at this point, deal with it when it's time to deal with it. Until then, I'm surviving. And by the time that becomes a problem in my life, maybe I'll have the means to throw money at that problem, make it go away, because that's all it takes is every time you have a problem. I would have been able to make the government go away and keep me from going to prison if I had enough money to throw at them. That's how that works. You don't go to federal prison if you've got money, not for something like that. But when you're broke and they can walk all over you, then yeah, then they get whatever they want. But when you get charged with a federal crime, even if it's tampering with a fucking mailbox, playing mailbox baseball, I think is a federal crime. You know, how many kids growing up used to play mailbox baseball when they were growing up? Well, you fuck someone's mailbox up, that's a federal crime. You get the FBI banging on your fucking door because you got a home run in mailbox baseball the other day and you got caught on camera or whatever. You know how much it costs for a fucking lawyer for that? You have to pay it's going to cost you at least $100,000 just to try and get a plea deal. You're paying a lawyer $100,000 to show up to jail, talk to you for an hour, make a couple phone calls to the prosecutor and see if they can get you a deal. That's it. And they'll show up in court for your hearing. That's all you're getting for $100,000. They won't talk to you. Every lawyer I talked to said $50,000 up front before I'll even come in and speak to you. That's that's where it started to sink in. Can you imagine getting arrested for a fucking Twitter post and then they drag you off to jail and you're still thinking, this can't be that big of a deal. I'll be home on Monday. I'll be home in a couple of weeks. We'll get this sorted out, blah, blah. You would never think in your fucking wildest imagination that you're going to prison for 2 fucking years over a goddamn Twitter post. That would never cross your fucking mind until even after the FBI drove a tank through my fucking house and everything else that they did. You would never in your wildest imagination think, I'm going to prison for 2 years. I shared a jail cell. I'll say this till I'm dead. I shared a jail cell with a guy who killed somebody, and he got 14 months for killing a person. So I would have been better off getting drunk off my ass and running over a guy on a bicycle and killing him than mean tweets. Just let that sink in. Shit. Child molesters go home. Child molesters get fucking community service now. So, almost the same amount of time as you for tweeting on Gab. Yeah, I say Twitter post. It was Gab. But 99%, that's like telling somebody you live in Brockport, New York, and they don't know where that is, and you say Buffalo. Oh, okay. So I say tweets, but it was Gab. But, like nobody knows, only like 5 people know what Gab is. So if you say I went to prison for Twitter posts, they get it. They get the gist of what happened. If I say I went to prison for Gab posts, they'd be like, what the fuck is Gab and what the hell and this and that. I'm going to have to answer 30 more questions. But if I say I went to prison for Twitter posts, then I don't have to answer any questions, or at least not as many. So it's kind of like, it's like saying it's like, okay, let's say you live in, oh God, give me a map here. I got to look something up here. Because I'm trying to think of like the town. It's like saying that you live in, That's like saying that you live in New Rochelle, New York, and nobody knows where that is. And so instead you say I live in New York City. Oh, okay. New Rochelle is right outside the boundary of New York City. You basically live in New York City, but you can't really say you do, but you do. But it's a lot easier to just say New York City. I live in New York City. Um, yeah, because all I'm trying to do, if somebody asks, why did you go to prison? They just want the gist, a Twitter post. What? And I started doing that when I was in prison because when I said, because I posted on Gab, that turned into like a 20-minute discussion about what is Gab and what this and that and this and the other thing. But if I would say Twitter post, that would end the conversation like that. And then the questions would be, holy fuck, the government did that to you over a fucking Twitter post? And I don't really see, I mean, honestly, if I had posted that shit on Twitter, they probably would have just shut off my account and it never would have went anywhere. So there's a combination of things that I worked for Gab, not long, and I wasn't like super important to them. I was doing user experience and user interface design and writing front end code for them for about 9 months as a freelancer. So I know Andrew Torba. I don't know if he has the same, I could contact him now. I haven't, but I worked for them for like 9 months. And after I started working for them, weird things started happening in my life. So I was on their shit list before the whole thing happened. I can tell you for a fact that like the whole thing about, now this is a long story and I don't got time. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to go get a Whataburger or something here in a minute. But I wasn't expecting to be here for 3.5 hours, but I got nothing else to do today. I would be either sitting here talking to you guys or watching Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime. And the new season of Jack Reacher, I actually read the book for that season when I was in prison. And so it's kind of interesting, even though the show isn't that great. But it's definitely, it's weird how accurately my mind pictured they nailed it. Because what I pictured in my mind as I was reading the book is what I'm watching on the TV screen, but that's a whole other thing. The point about the weird shit, like when they send, like how they say the CIA will send, like if they want to spy on you, if you're doing something and they want to like see, they want to come and spy on you, they'll start doing shit. They'll send people into your life to report back to them. And like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie, is it like Red Sparrow or Black Sparrow or some shit like that, where they'll like the CIA, if they think you're somebody dangerous or somebody they want to like spy up on, they'll send a chick, they'll send you a girlfriend, and that girlfriend will report back to her boss at the CIA. She's basically an undercover agent pretending to be your girlfriend. Like, didn't Lee Harvey Oswald have one of those? And like other people, that you can look into this. It's a real thing. But like, I don't know, things weren't going so well for me at the time. So they basically sent me the fat sparrow. It wasn't a hot one. I mean, she was good looking, but she wasn't top shelf. Like they were just like, here, you go look at him. He'll fuck you. Just, be nice to him, flirt with him. He'll take you home. So they sent me the Black Sparrow or the Red Sparrow or whatever you call it. And I'm telling you, this is real. Like, I can't say 100% that that's what happened. I can't say that 100%, but I started to keep track of things. And that's a long story. I don't got time for the details, but I started to share this with my friends. at the time. And I said, look, this is getting a little weird. This, whatever this is with this girl, has gotten so strange that, and all my friends were looking at what I was telling them and they're like, Adam, that's fucking crazy. Like, they all believed what I'm telling you. Like, if I told all the details, even my friends were like, that's not. And they all thought it had to do with me working for Gab. That, like, the government was keeping tabs on everybody involved with Gab. And that they sent people to spy on me because I started working for them and started doing stuff for them, and the wrong people found out or whatever. And that all this weird shit started happening to me after the fact. And so I felt like I was being monitored. Save this story for the members. It's already done. What's done is done. I don't care. I'll talk about it. And like I said, this could just be like extra paranoia, but honestly, to go to prison for 2 fucking years over a mean tweets, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But it does when you combine it. Like, I still can't, like, 100% talk myself out of believing that this girl that showed up in my life and the whole story around it was some sort of weird ass CIA spy thing, that they were spying on me. And all my friends, when I told them all the details, and I said, look, I don't want to believe this. Like, I'm not even that paranoid. My tinfoil hat doesn't even have that much tin in it. But listen to what I'm telling you. And yeah, I don't know. It was just, she wasn't ugly. I'm just saying, like, she just wasn't on the top shelf. She wasn't the one that they're sending to, like, Justin Bieber or whatever to spy on him. Like, they're like, oh, we don't just send her. Just send her. She's good enough. That was what they sent me. And I still can't, like, I know that, like, one thing I'm looking forward to is when we die. You know, supposedly nothing is a secret. After we're all dead, we're going to know everything everybody else did. You know, like, because all your secrets are going to be open. The book of judgment is going to open in the gates of heaven when when you meet Jesus or whatever. There's a book. They're going to read back everything you did. But then you're probably going to, at least the way I understand it, you're going to know everything everybody else did. You're going to know who fucked the kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island. You're all going to know. And there might be some people in heaven that fucked the kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island, because I don't get to choose who goes and come. I don't get to choose who gets in there. So I don't. And God, and they say Jesus will forgive a murderer. So, I mean, I don't. I wouldn't, but I'm not God, so I don't make those decisions. But I am kind of looking forward to seeing if my suspicions are accurate when it comes to the Fat Sparrow that they sent me. I'm like, God damn it, she really did work for the CIA. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for that. I'm waiting for that. That might be one of the first questions I ask my maker. Hey, you remember that girl? Was she just a weird girl, or did she work for the CIA? Tell me, like, and I'll be happy. Like, but I just felt like I was being spied on by her, and there were just different. It would take an hour to tell you the whole story, and it was just weird, really fucking weird. Weird enough that when I told my friends everything that I would share, and I will do it someday. Ask me sometime. I don't care about talking about it. I don't want to believe that what I'm saying is true. Is that I'm not that much of a conspiracy theorist. But I've watched enough movies and I know what they do. And I'm like, and I was involved with stuff the government didn't like when the people in charge were, stealing the election. And all this crazy shit was going on. And so I'm like, like they were going after everybody. And and the government has unlimited resources because they steal so much money from all of us, and then they just make up money out of thin air that they never had in the first place. And like, so there's they have unlimited funds to do whatever they want to us. And so, like, why wouldn't they just send some bottom shelf black sparrow, fat sparrow, whatever, the cheap one, send her, maybe it's her first mission. Maybe she was juggling like 6 dudes and I was just one, because that's kind of how she acted. She would disappear for a long time and then just pop up out of the blue on a random Tuesday. But it would coincide, and the way it would coincide and timing of it was like, what? Like when she would pop up out of the blue, it would be all these things put together. Even my friends, and I told a handful of friends, they're like, Adam, that's fucked up. I would be thinking the same thing as you if I were in that situation. I don't even think that's weird at all. You should be careful. You need to watch your back. Like, I think they're coming for you. Like, that's what my friends are telling me. Instead of my friends telling me I'm a tinfoil hat nut job, my friends are telling me that and believe me, my friends would have absolutely no problem telling me I'm just a lunatic tinfoil hat nut job. In fact, they told me that many times. But this time they were like, Adam, I think you legitimately have something to worry about right now. And it was crazy. It was crazy. You don't even have, like I said, you don't have to ask me in the members only chat. I don't care. I'm open. I'm an open book on this one. I don't care. In fact, the more you talk about stuff like this out in the open, the safer you are. The people, like, because now if I disappear, if there's 2 holes in the back of my head and they say that I killed myself, y'all know that I didn't. Y'all know what happened. So, and I am in a position now because they ruined my life. They took everything from me. They left me with nothing. I have nothing to lose. And that's the most dangerous guy there is the guy with, what can you take away from somebody who has nothing? So I don't have to watch my mouth. I don't have golden handcuffs. I don't have a 6-figure job to protect. all I can do is run my mouth now, as long as I don't break the law and threaten people and shit like that. But I can just say whatever the hell I want now. And what am I going to, oh no, I can't get a job doing DoorDash. I can't get a job doing DoorDash anyway. They rejected me because I have a criminal record. If I was an illegal immigrant with 6 DUIs, they'd let me DoorDash tomorrow. But I'm an American citizen with a criminal record. I can't do DoorDash. Can't do Instacart. Can't do any of that delivery stuff. They do background checks on all of it. But I can tell you for a fact that you can't be a DoorDash driver in Houston if you're an American citizen, at least not right now. I keep saying, ICE, if you're watching, the feds, if you're watching me right now, all you got to do is go outside of the restaurants and wait for people to come out with a bag of food that look like they might be driving for DoorDash. Go up to them and ask them a couple of questions in English. And when they can't answer you, in the back of the wagon you go. It's that simple. You probably arrest half of the illegal immigrants in Houston in about 3 days if you just sat outside the fast food joints waiting for DoorDashers to come get a bag of food for somebody. Then maybe I could get a job for DoorDash all of a sudden because they need people. I don't know. It's kind of like that H-1B thing with all the Indian programmers taking all the Americans' jobs. So I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump yet. I mean, I don't feel like he's done anything. But supposedly there's an executive order now that says a company has to pay $100,000 now for an H-1B worker to the government. So they have to pay the H-1B worker to come here and pay him a salary and they got to pay the government $100,000 for them to come. And every H-1B visa holder here in America right now, in order for the company to keep them, the company's going to have to pay $100,000 a year for those employees to stay. So all the Indian programmers are going home. If that's real, if that's true, Team India is on the way back to Bangladesh or whatever, Bangalore or wherever the fuck you came from. Bye-bye. Now Americans can get programming jobs again. Unless, I think the only thing that might come about is maybe all the Indians go back to India, but then the companies are just going to open an office in India and have all the programmers work there. So we might not be able to get jobs again here in America. There might just be a bunch of empty buildings with no programmers in them. But yeah, $100K for H-1B is just a money shuffle to the right pocket for political favor. I don't know, because Elon Musk was mad at Trump because Trump was saying that he was going to do this. And Elon Musk, all these companies, they bring people over from India to undercut American workers. So let's just say an American worker would make $100,000 for this programming job. They can bring over Ranjit from Bangalore and pay him $40,000 for the same job. And on top of that Ranjit, he's an indentured servant now. He's tied to that company. Ranjit can't go, if Ranjit doesn't like working for the company, he can't go find another job that easily because your visa is tied to the company you work for. And so that's like they brought back the company store. You work for the coal mine and then you get paid in coal mine dollars, and then you go spend your coal mine money at the company store. Like that's what they've done. And Americans can't get jobs in tech now. And I've worked for companies I worked for a bank in Pittsburgh that has 4 towers in downtown Pittsburgh, and one of the towers was it was New Delhi. You walked in, the whole building smells like curry because the only people that could work there were Indian programmers that they brought over here from India. H-1B was meant to fill a niche market, and there's a lot of tech in America who can do the job. Yeah, H-1B was meant for if you can't find anybody in our country, you can bring people from other countries to work here, especially if it's like a job that requires a significant amount of talent and skill. But instead, these companies are filling these buildings up with bottom of the barrel, half-assed turd programmers for pennies on the dollar. And they're taking advantage of that. And I've worked in this shit. I know, I've seen it. I know it. I get 50 emails a day from Indian tech recruiters. If I read you off the names from my email inbox, it would drive you crazy. I can't pronounce half of them. And they're all looking for my resume so that they can take my resume and put, Haji Ramaswamy's name on it and just submit it to a bunch of companies with my career background to try and get someone in India a job here. Because you respond to any of those Indian recruiters, they're useless. Absolutely. You won't get a response from them. You won't even get a response from them. They reach out to you with this job opportunity, you respond to them, and they disappear. There are people out there talking about what they're doing is they're gathering resumes to change the names on them to their friends over in India to get their friends over here to get jobs. So if you submit a resume to an Indian tech recruiter that reaches out to you, you're just helping them get somebody a job from India. So I don't even talk to these assholes anymore. I've gotten to the point where I'm so sick of LinkedIn right now that I feel like I probably have to make a fake account, but I think there's room. I think there's a market share for being a LinkedIn troll. Like somebody who gets on LinkedIn and talks about how rotten business culture is and how awful LinkedIn has become with all the virtue signaling and douchebaggery. Like, I can't get on LinkedIn for more than 30 seconds without being disgusted and having to close my browser window. It's just, I check in every now and then to see if I get a message from a friend. That's it. But I think LinkedIn would kick you off the platform for being a LinkedIn troll. But there are a couple of YouTube channels that I follow, and that's what they do. That's how they got famous, for making fun of modern business culture. And so like they give me ideas, and I'm like, I could like fuck Jerry. I don't know if you've ever heard of the troll account called Fuck Jerry, and I think he's on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. He's on all of the platforms, and the dude is funny as hell, funny as hell. And I'm like, does LinkedIn have a Fuck Jerry of LinkedIn? Because I could do that job. I could do that all day long. And but then I don't know, would all these corporate douchebags be afraid to follow the Fuck Jerry of LinkedIn? Because that would mean that they're like, if they are reposting and if an employer sees that you follow the Fuck Jerry of LinkedIn, does that mean you'll never get a job again? I don't know. Like, it's something I keep kicking around as an idea. Should I do it probably should do it with a fake account. That way I can keep my real account up there and not get kicked off and still keep in touch with certain friends and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like if I have more time on my hands in the next few months because I got a car, I might become the Fuck Jerry of LinkedIn and see where it goes. I mean, I could do this all day long. LinkedIn would do my job for me, because all I would really have to do is take the garbage that these corporate brown-nosing douchebags post and make fun of it on LinkedIn. I could be like Greg on X, or Cat Turd, or what are the other big accounts on X? I could be that guy on LinkedIn, and who knows, maybe I could get 1 million followers. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, JS. The douchebaggery in the business world got so much worse when I was in prison for 2 years. You wouldn't notice the change. I mean, it's not the same as like going to prison for 40 years and coming back out and seeing how much the world has changed, but it was noticeable. It was very noticeable when I came home how different everything got in 2 years. Just 2 years. But you're talking about, 2 years right after the biggest scam ever pulled in human history. So things have been changing at a much faster pace. But it's been 3 hours and 42 minutes. So thank you all for showing up. We got 6 thumbs up in the chat. If you forgot to do that, I'll throw that out there as the last thing I do. I don't, I forget to beg for likes, like you're supposed to do on YouTube. So if you throw in another couple of thumbs up in there, the algorithm will do what it does. And thank you, Blue Sky. I will work on the Discord thing. Tomorrow and Thursday are going to be me cleaning my 2-bedroom pad, or my two room pad. I just want to clean it up and make it nice again. I've been neglecting a lot of stuff lately. Right now, I'm about to go get a Whataburger and find another reason to drive around in my car just to get out of the house for a minute. And from there, we'll see what happens. Friday, I might have some energy to do some productive stuff. Until then, I will do the stream on Thursday night. So I'll pop back in on Thursday night for the live stream, the regularly scheduled live stream. And I might have to do a couple of regular videos and just tell people, hey, check out the live tab, because I've been getting comments over the last week or two, people wondering where I went. And I'm like, I didn't disappear. but it might not put the live video thing front and center on the channel when people are looking around for it. So anyway, peace out, everybody. I hope y'all have a good one, and we'll talk again in a bit.